Hey, happy Up Day, everybody. Was that a double open? Was that a double bang? Was that a Mike Breen double bang? We had a double open.
That would make sense because it's just a random Wednesday, and apparently, when Mikal Bridges does it on a random Tuesday against a random a Raptors team, he gets a double bang. I'm telling you think eggs are going up? Double bangs are going up too. Inflation's hitting everybody.
It's the times we live in. We need the double bang.
How much does a normal double bang cost? On
a
the
double
open market?
bang should be like
Game
buzzer
7?
beater, playoff, like massive, like sends the other team home, puts the other team in the finals. A double bang should never be used in the regular season ever
Against Toronto.
I love how I'm making the rules of another announcer's call.
But
like
this is a reasonable.
Matt McMaster, Mike Breen. It makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
I don't know.
It all makes sense.
I think if you're going to go double bang, it's got to be in the moment. I mean, you can't like restrict yourself. If you want to go double bang, you got to just let it go. I mean, if you feel like there's a moment that gives you a double bang, I think you just go double bang. I mean, you can't say, you know what, it's innocuous middle of February night in Toronto, Canada, and I'm just going to go good. You know, if you want to go double
yes,
bang,
sir.
You want to go double bang, go double bang.
Nylon.
And then you're part of the moment where you're like, okay. Mike Breen did a regular season double bang.
This is it, to kind of compare it and bring it close to home. This would be like you doing this in Grand Forks in January in the middle of the year. Like this is, as opposed to had this been against St. Thomas, we'll say.
Once again, I'm not telling you when to do your, when to announce what you announce.
But once you do it, you got to go all in.
If you like double banged like against Denver in January, I'd be like, wow, I'd
be like, we're doing this.
Whoa, okay, cool. Like, I feel like everything's a double bang at that point. But if you if Omaha makes a buzzer beater to beat St. Thomas in the Summit League Championship, and you go, bang, bang, JJ White wins it. Like, that's worthy.
I don't think, though, I would, I wouldn't steal that line. I have a different line.
True.
But yeah, if you're double banging in Grand Forks in January, God bless you, because that's rough up there.
Stay warm.
Hey, we were joking as the season came to an end that the conference season started because remember I was doing it from a hotel.
Yeah.
We were on New Year's Day in Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Oh man, that's like Times Square the night before.
Man, that's a party and a half.
There's a young.
It's about -25.
It's about time for a second honeymoon for me. So maybe I should put that one on the list.
Hey, I've always thought about doing the Summit League trip during the summer to see some of these cities that you only see when they look like
I was about to say
they're not under white.
Yeah,
because you only like people who came here in January. You see what Omaha looks like. When Omaha apparently pictured in a certain way looks like Mother Russia, right? You kind of want to come back to Omaha in June and July to see it in all its glory. And
this is what it looks like in the World Series. Okay.
Exactly. You go to these places when it looks like, the outside of the penitentiary in Shawshank Redemption. You need to go out there when you can actually tour, when you can actually travel, when you can actually enjoy the sights. My question, though, is like, what are moments in life that require a double bang,
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Well, no, I mean, like, you go up and you get a parking spot right in front of like Target, like right as close as you can.
Eggs come back down to $1.99.
Bang!
What are eggs these days? I don't need eggs.
$8 something. Yeah, I got the riot act. We're done with eggs.
And not like organic, cage-free, hand-fed grass, beautiful, like nurtures your stomach. I'm talking about just the regular
the eggs we grew up with.
You guys want to know how to fix that?
Don't eat eggs.
This isn't political or anything. Okay,
I'm with you. I know you long enough.
I'm not gonna throw it on a chat.
It's always a great setup when you go, this isn't political.
Well, I think nowadays you have to.
You have to.
All right.
Because the listener's like, oh crap, here we go.
Because red, blue, black, green, purple get chickens.
Yes, so I read in San Antonio they're getting chickens.
So this is a popular town because out in Sarpy County they went through some regulation of having backyard chickens. So if you want to make a little bit of money because we're all in chasing the side hustle and grabbing the bag.
Why not?
Why not have your own chickens and you produce your own eggs and then go to the farmers markets, which are about to open up, and sell your eggs that have come from your chickens.
Look at
See?
that.
It's a simple solution. I don't know why I'm not running for mayor in this town.
Uncle Gary's life advice. That's a good one.
My mother's family, Cuban, they were all farmers before they left the island to come to America. They own chickens. My mother told the story. If she remembers, back in
almost said
the
Dutch Irish.
1980s, they had chickens in the backyard of my uncle, my tio, and they named them and they ran around and there was a coop, and then one day, months went by and Mom and my Uncle Matt go, where did the chickens go? What happened to the chickens? And my abuela goes, you ate them. You ate them. You had them to eat.
All right.
And mom and uncle were scarred and mad and heartbroken. They named the chicken some cute little name, and they let them nurture the chicken or whatever. And then unbeknownst to them, they served it over a plate.
Yeah.
Good
So
thing humans aren't like that.
I have a really, really good friend that does not eat fins or feathers. And they have stuck with that their entire lifetime because they grew up on a farm in Iowa.
Okay.
And what they did is they skinned chickens. Okay. So they would grow chickens. And like you were saying, they would grow chickens and then they would kill them. They would skin them and they would cut them up.
Yeah.
He saw it as a young kid. And so as he got a little bit older, he was like, no fins or feathers. So I can see that. But you know what? That would be a solution. Here's something else that doesn't use eggs that I think America is healing.
Yeah.
I say this, and yesterday was like the news cycle was, Fran McCaffrey's going to pay, and then they texted, what? But so I was at Omaha Creighton baseball last night at Tal Anderson. Beautiful night. Not so good for Omaha, really good for Creighton.
Got a little chilly at the end. I was thinking of you. I was like,
who cares about the weather, Jimmy?
It was nice.
He's up in a press box.
Nobody cares.
Oh, that's right.
Hold on. The window was open.
Oh,
okay. You got to dress accordingly.
Close the window.
No, he doesn't close the window.
No, I don't. I got to hear myself.
We talk about
you have to feel the crowd.
I said,
what are you, Hogan back in the garden in '83? I gotta feel it, brother. I gotta feel it.
I sat down last night and I told the guys in the press box, I go, this is going to be 3 hours of a comedy show. I'm going to practice my stand up tonight. I wasn't able to use it that much because Creighton hammered Omaha. By the way, side note.
Yeah, were the jokes not hitting when the Mavericks were down 7-0?
No, I really didn't go jokey.
Okay.
But I made a mistake last night because they had an on-field game that nobody told me what the gender. No, not the objective. The gender of the contestants, and so I didn't look, and I gave them boys' names instead of girls' names. But I rebounded quickly. Like Haywood and Eddie were not the two girls that were in the competition. But on a side note about that, it's so cool to see Ed Service kind of trying to embrace the last year and all the moments that are going through. I like this Creighton lineup, and they're 14-6, and they won 10-0 last night. But he had his grandson there. He brought him on the field after the game. Nice. That's pretty cool. I mean, Ed's been around the game for a long time, and this can't be easy for him. So that's pretty cool. But what I am observing, not only at Tal Anderson Field, and by the way, over at Connie Clausen, I'll see a ton of you tonight because Nebraska Omaha softball sold out. Is you know what? And I bring this up because I'm very excited about this because we are a day away from opening day, and my tradition continues where I will eat a food out of one of the plastic batting helmets that I got when I was like 10 years old. It has been a tradition I've kept for a long time.
What?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about this.
Oh, this is a tradition. People wear uniforms on opening day. Fat guy over here, he gets his regular size plastic batting helmet that comes with the warning, do not wear this in place of a regular batting helmet, and I eat food out of it.
Oh, it's a big one.
It's a big one.
Do you eat all
That's what she said. It's a big one. And she's sitting next to me on the couch going, how old are you? Okay, so before I tell you what I've decided on the menu item that's going to be in the helmet.
What was it last year?
Last year, I went with hot dogs.
Okay.
Oh,
the Mets stole your idea?
The Mets stole my idea, and the Mets stole the idea from the Minnesota State Fair about putting chocolate chip cookies in a batting helmet.
The Mets steal a lot of things. They steal everybody's best players and everybody's best managers.
Yeah. Nice starting rotation you have there, Mets. I think Kumar Rocker would maybe make your starting rotation. But you know what? Hey, the Braves and Phillies are in your division. Good luck. Thanks for spending all that money.
Good luck.
The usual.
So, no, I've noticed this, and it just is not at Tal Anderson last night. And you like it because you talked about it. You know what? The food item that is going crazy in this country is the walk-in taco. The walk-in taco, I think, has to be one of the most popular things going at concession stands, in gyms, ballparks, arenas, stadiums. The walking taco is taking off. I'm telling you, get in on the ground floor if you haven't already. If you've not experienced eating something out of a bag, maybe it's not just a taco. Maybe we can expand.
Oh,
but
it's like Frito pie. Okay.
You've never had a walking taco?
I was about to wait. What is going on here? I got Gary Sharp talking like the walking taco is like a brand new thing.
Yeah, it's a Frito pie.
I mean,
No,
the
no,
walking,
no, no.
I've had this out of the bag.
The walking taco's
Junior,
been around for a while.
Junior, we've been talking about the walking taco. I've seen it more. It's taken off. This country is healing because the walking taco is convenience and it gives you food.
Good.
And
right now,
it's
I'm
kinda
just
cheap.
saying it's been around for a while. I'm glad that you are now. So are you going to eat a walking taco in your baseball helmet?
Nope. That was a couple of years ago. I had nachos.
I was about to say a
Good
walking
choice.
taco in a baseball helmet would just be nachos.
That's a lot of food.
I will never forget.
So it is popular. Like I think at the Royals games. I mean, a lot more stadiums now are doing the helmet with the nachos.
Yeah.
I think the Royals a couple of years ago did like the whole pulled pork barbecue.
Yep.
Which is a lot of food.
Would you do
in a helmet.
Chinese food for in your helmet?
You can do anything in a helmet.
No, I'm talking about you tomorrow.
No, I would not.
And you're
I would not.
doing
That's
in
way too much Chinese food. I would
That's
miss.
high sodium.
I would.
It's called walk off.
I do not have a TV in my bathroom. I would miss multiple innings of the game.
Also, the story he
They
told
had
you
that.
when we were talking about health, you can't have that much Chinese food.
Oh my God, I have had that Chinese food,
Yes,
that much
but-
Chinese food at a baseball game.
I look
20
like
years
you
old.
was
I
Seller
look like
Field.
I look like the Michelin man, the marshmallow guy with all that sodium. I'd be like, hey, attach a rope.
What'd
to
you
him.
think of, Ray?
I'll be
Ray,
texting
what'd
Gary.
you think of?
Gary,
What'd
what
you
are the
think of,
signs
Ray?
again? What happened during that game?
It was the only thing I could think of. Freaked me out when I was a kid. It's a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Walking taco. Every place you
The
go now
walking
should have a
taco
walking
has been
taco.
around since I've been 9. I'll never forget the first time I had a walking taco, though. I had a walking taco when I was in 6th grade at a Queen of All Saints 8th grade football game. And all the kids were walking around with Frito-Lay bags, and they had their forks, and they were digging out of the Frito-Lay bags with their forks. And I go, oh, Mom, what is that? She's like, oh, that's a walking taco.
Walking taco.
I go, well, okay. And I went over and I had it. Quite good.
I would have been told you have it at home.
How
Quite
come we haven't had an NIL deal in this state with an
I
athlete
don't-
with a walking taco?
I don't think a walking taco is that. Well, to be fair, Amigos isn't probably the. I was about to say the healthiest.
Oh,
The
They
walking
had a
taco is the
great
healthiest
idea.
thing ever.
I thought you were going.
relate-
With, I thought you were going with the attachment to Jeff Sims. We're past Jeff Sims.
Yeah, we're now on to the
I'm
Harburger.
just,
We're on
I'm
to
just
year
mentioning.
2 of
I was about to say
Dylan
like food and health, right? And that has to align with athletes. But like Amigos, great. I enjoy Amigos. Definitely not the healthiest thing, and has been attached to athletes. I don't know. Is there a walking taco brand? Aren't kind of walking tacos just put together? Aren't they a little bit rugged?
Doritos has the market on the walking taco because they have the Doritos bag. They're making bags specifically
Oh,
for the
for
walking taco.
taco. I didn't know that.
Instead of cutting off like the Frito chips, the Frito-Lay chips, the corn chips, instead of like cutting off the top of the bag and then putting all the ingredients in there, Doritos now has a actual walking taco bag.
But Frito should have a walking taco.
They have
bag.
the Frito pie. Doritos has the walking taco.
Does Taco Bell have a? Walking taco,
they
they
change
got
their
to,
menu
right?
every week. So
I mean, they have those cinnamon twists.
Can you
have
imagine
those cinnamon twists?
Can you imagine on the go eating a walking taco while you're driving?
I think we all have friends that would.
I think you definitely
And how it would
could.
end.
I mean, you would have to like kind of raise up your chair a little bit, put the knees on the bottom of the steering wheel, kind of knee drive. You ever done that before? To do a little knee drive in your life?
Not
And then
in
you're
a long
eating-
time.
You're eating like that. You're scooping that up
It'll be a disaster.
But you know what? Then it
like I'm James
spills,
Harden.
Then it
Everywhere.
spills, and then you got issues. And
It always spills, no matter where.
no.
You ever had a
No,
Culver's
there
burger
are-
while
there are-
driving?
There are professional. No, I have not. There are professional walking taco
Stuff gets
people
out.
that can shovel
There's
all that in. And
professional
they,
walking taco people. How many walking tacos do you think Joey Chestnut could have?
I don't know. That's an interesting mixture of food.
In like,
There's too much math.
If you go without the lettuce a lot,
do you put lettuce in your walking taco? Because
No,
I'm
no,
kind of just a
no.
hot sauce,
Lettuce-
sour cream, cheese.
lettuce takes up too much of the space. Because the lettuce then takes up the meat where the meat should go. So you usually get less meat if you go with the lettuce.
I might be in a minority.
This is why
here.
lettuce is
I
useless
don't
on a burger.
Like,
it just is there.
I like pico de gallo and I love salsa, but like if you just put tomatoes on Mexican food, I'm just talking. You just cut up tomatoes
Mhm.
and you don't season them,
They're
and you
just
know-
tomatoes.
and they're just tomatoes. Why would you put that on Mexican food? Why would you put that on top of a taco?
You like
Why would-
tomatoes?
Why would you put that in a burrito? I don't feel. I feel like it doesn't add anything. I feel like it doesn't.
It's isn't that the American Taco Tuesday?
There's nothing American about Taco Tuesday. Okay, I mean,
Is LeBron James not American?
well, Taco Tuesday is Taco Tuesday.
invented in
mean
America.
like that.
They don't say it's
When
Taco Wednesday.
I want to let me redact that statement. Yes, Taco Tuesday is an American thing,
Hell
but
yes,
you
brother.
shouldn't be having like American tacos on Taco Tuesday. You should be having like shredded chicken, cantina style. Like
That's a lot of work on a Tuesday.
Like, gotta go to a place. Like, you gotta go to on Taco Tuesday. You gotta go to a Mexican restaurant that when you walk out of the restaurant and they have the bag, there's 2 languages on the bag. There's Spanish and there's English.
Not everyone can
That's
go
how you know.
on Tuesday to get tacos. Sometimes you have to eat ramen.
I like
So you have to
ramen.
make your own tacos.
I like to spice up a little ramen. Add a couple. Have some beef in my ramen.
I
Have a
feel like
little
the,
eggs in my ramen.
I feel like the ramen phase, which was taken off and restaurants opened,
I remember
has
that.
kind of like subsided.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that ramen could have restaurants until about like 5 years. I didn't know there
Everything
was
can
like
have
ramen.
restaurants.
Like, hey, because I just thought ramen was a
There's a kitty cafe
Like a
across the
noodles.
street.
well, no. And then I like about like
A
5,
what?
6 years ago.
A kitty cafe. Yeah, apparently they take cats there. I had no idea. And then they were lining up one day.
Do the cats get to leave?
I was about.
That's
to
what I
say.
want to know. Are they eating the cats? I was like, I want to know more about this. I sense a potential endorsement opportunity for you,
For
Matt,
what?
who wants
For
a cat.
I don't want.
I
I
sense
can't
a
have a cat.
potential health issue.
Bringing
what
in
I
a
sense.
cat, a
Yes.
kitty corner.
Yeah.
What if people are allergic to cats? A lot of people are deathly allergic to cats.
That's a them problem. Yeah. Back to your helmet, though. I want to know what you're going to eat tomorrow.
I want to know too.
Here's a little tip, Omaha newbie over there.
Yeah.
Jacobo's in South Omaha on 24th.
Yes.
Go there to Life Changer.
Yeah.
Get the chips.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like going home. for
Okay,
me.
so opening day is tomorrow for Major League Baseball. I'm going to be locked and loaded. I don't wear a jersey on the first day. My fantasy team at ESPN is screwing our fantasy league. If other people out there have been screwed by ESPN,
How have you been screwed?
because they were not going to include the Cub Dodger stats, and now they are, and so it's a whole mess on ESPN. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm set with my fantasy team. I'm
How
set
are we
with
looking?
opening day with the Cubs. I got a good roster. It's a highly competitive league. But I need to get back into the playoff mix this year. So
our
I've done
management is going to be a little bit upset of what old Gary's doing.
I suffered some injuries last year. I made a bad trade early in the year. Thankfully, Seth Lugo kept my head above water, but I don't trust that I don't trust that the 5 starters in the Royals rotation this year will stay healthy for that amount of starts like they did last year. But that's okay. I'm only in the fantasy world. I'm not playing in the real world.
We got to do Jumbotron in left field. We got to get 2 million people to the park this season. All right. You got to put together a competitive roster, Sharp.
So tell me that, or I'll tell you. So this is a thing. Like I am having an unveiling of what I'm going to make in the helmet.
I can't wait. I have no idea. So this is going to be fun.
So I looked at the weather. I looked at what time the Cubs are starting tomorrow because, it'd be tough to have like cereal.
Yeah. I feel like that, by the way,
actually would be an option.
If you had cereal, I would make fun of you because I feel like that would be a cop out.
No,
last week that
I feel like it would be
I
a
would
little
just
too
I
easy.
would just plug the hole, and I could have had cereal last week when the Cubs were starting at 5 a.m.
That could have been.
We should have done that, Matt. We dropped the ball.
I know. We dropped. I mean,
yeah.
So did the Cubs. Dropped it all over the field, especially in the first game.
Well played.
It's okay. They still got 160 left to go win 87. That's all I care about.
Is 87 because of a bet? We're at 86.5 or 87
no, I just
is
think
your
they'll win
magic
87.
number?
I think 87 to win a bad division is going to be the trick.
I agree.
Boy, the Central Division of the AL and the NL.
I was about to say
the crapshoot.
both Centrals are awful.
Okay, so this year in the helmet, and by the way, I washed the helmet. It's the only day of the year that I eat something out of the helmet. It's not like I'm down and out on my luck, and
Cubs
that's
helmet?
all I do. No,
I actually was going to ask that. But
because I wouldn't do that to a Cubs helmet.
Oh.
Like if I have one of those, it's sitting in the
like
man
you're
cave.
gonna violate.
I used to collect these all the time. Not only would I go to Dairy Queen and just mow down ice cream so I could get the helmets, and then I got the leaderboard, the standings board, which is somewhere in somewhere in a box somewhere. But I had all the helmets. Like we lived next to a Dairy Queen when I was growing up.
That's
and
awesome.
I get on my bike and
I had the small ones growing up.
Yeah,
I didn't have
the from the Dairy Queen.
Yeah. Okay, I had about 5 of them, but I did not collect them like you did.
I had them all, and I even had the miniature helmets with the little standing board. Oh, it was
That's
baseball.
Yeah.
But I would go, and when you'd go to a ballpark, you'd buy the plastic batting helmet, and then it would always say, "You do not use this during a regular game. It is not safety." Okay, whatever.
Buzzkill.
Okay.
Put it on.
All right. I want to take a Randy Johnson fastball to the head. I'll put
Unless you're a
whatever
bird.
helmet on I want.
So there will be no soup in the helmet.
Be warm tomorrow too. So
I am doing kind of along the lines of cereal. I'm going to do breakfast in the batting helmet. You know where you have
please don't say oatmeal.
dinner, breakfast for
Brenner.
dinner.
Yes.
That is what I'm going to do in
That's
the
good.
helmet. Little scrambled
For
eggs.
a 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah,
Because I have to do something different. I don't want to do the same thing all the time. So tomorrow I'm gonna have a reverse day. I'm going to eat what you would normally eat for dinner. I'm going to eat that for breakfast before I come in and do the show, and then I'm
Awesome.
going to finish with breakfast at night while I'm watching the Cubs and the D-backs.
So eggs, sausage, bacon.
We're going a little potatoes in there as well.
Little corned beef hash.
No corned beef.
Oh,
hash.
just potato, just shredded potatoes. I think
There's going to be a little ham in there. There's going to be a little green pepper in there. Now, it will not be full because that'd be a
scrambled. That would scramble.
Yes, that would be a lot at 9 o'clock at night.
It already sounds like.
Oh my God, I'm so miserable.
I'm on StreamYard tomorrow.
It already sounds like a lot. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm not going to fill it up. You're having bacon, sausage, eggs,
The whole
ham,
point.
egg,
Hey,
peppers,
I'm not paying
at
for
9
it.
o'clock at night.
If I'm paying for it, I want it filled to the brim. But if I'm not paying for it, I just want it so I
the
continue
amount
the
of
tradition.
sodium that you're going to go to bed with is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And then knowing you'll probably put hot sauce on it.
We
Or
have
you'll
to.
put some
No hot
ketchup
sauce?
on it.
No ketchup, no hot sauce.
No condiments.
Just just straight.
Okay.
I'm a straight guy.
No
you don't
pepper?
put any No, you don't put condiments on your breakfast.
No.
You don't do Cholula.
No.
How about grape jam?
No.
What?
You got
On
toast?
eggs?
What? Yeah, on toast. What would be great jam on like
What,
eggs.
Skittles?
No, guys, I'm just throwing. Hey, guys,
You put
I'm
Skittles
just
in your
throwing-
scramble?
Hey, I'm just throwing stuff against the wall. All right, all right. I'm just throwing things
Can I,
out. there, all
can
right?
Top
I
a little
get some-
catnip and
Can I
Yeah,
get some
why not?
great jam? Well, sure. You
I
don't
get some
have any
chocolate
toast.
syrup.
Oh no, you got to try it on eggs, man.
I bet. I'm
What
gonna
is
tell you
going on?
I'm gonna
How
tell you something
stoned
right-
are
I'm gonna
you?
tell you something right now. Some grape jam on eggs actually sounds great.
Try that and get back to us. Give us a review.
I
and
will
like
give you
that,
a
I'm no
review.
longer hungry.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so everybody, because we all have traditions. If you love the game, because they like tomorrow they put out a memo in this building about wear a jersey. I'm not wearing a jersey, okay? Any jerseys that I have are framed.
Why not?
I'm not a jersey guy. If I'm a jersey guy, and I'm not opposed to people wearing jerseys.
You're
And
not a
not
Hoboken
a
guy?
Jersey guy.
You're not a Hoboken guy.
Not like
No.
Not
Newark.
a New York,
I-
New York guy.
My jerseys that I have,
You're like
I
MetLife.
frame. Like who?
You don't like MetLife. You're like not a Jersey guy. I was making geographical jokes.
Russell Wilson, by the way, 4-0 at MetLife Stadium, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, 70% completion rate. Sierra and Russell coming to MetLife Stadium.
How's
this year.
Richie?
All
Is
right.
he okay?
He's very excited.
Okay.
Very excited. We'll talk about Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and Tommy DeVito being in the same quarterback room later on in the show. A show that'll include John Walker coming up at 9. As good morning, 1,800 basketball players that are in the portal. And then Brandon Vogel from counterread.com coming up at 9:40. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. So why I brought up the walking taco? So
It's very random.
no.
I mean,
No,
we
no,
were
no, no.
we were
Go-
talking about food that you were going to put in a helmet, and you go, do you know what's around right now? The walking taco. And do you know what I'm not going to put in my helmet tomorrow? A walking taco.
Because I've had the walking taco in the helmet before.
We've had nachos.
I'm following
Last,
you.
last
though.
year was
But the walking taco.
last year was the multiple hot dogs, a little bit left over. I steamed the buns. It was great. It was fantastic.
Jeez.
It's opening day.
No, it's a whole operation. I
mean,
love it. Go for it.
You
dude.
know this as a Cubs fan. I mean, you only get one opening day. I mean, your season might be over by day number 2.
Yeah, it's
So you got to
By
embrace
that's-
the opener and hope to God that Kyle Schwarber doesn't get injured out in Arizona early in the year. And
Those were the
Well,
Cubs
I
I grew
wouldn't
up
but
with.
mind.
then it
Actually,
turns around
I
and
was
it
about
comes
to
back
say.
and you win the World Series.
wouldn't mind if that actually happened. You know,
That would be one of the craziest things in the history of baseball. If tomorrow, if Schwarber gets hurt playing for the Cubs in Phoenix.
No, I meant I meant like if Pete Crow Armstrong goes down with a torn ACL tomorrow, I'm immediately
Whoa.
going
I've
to
had
say,
enough torn ACLs
I'm,
for one
I'm
week.
immediately going to say, guys, the last time it happened, we were all very happy in October.
I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Brian Rizzo in the infield. I'm okay. PCA,
What do you
hey,
mean?
just stay healthy.
What do you mean, Shaw and Bush are better? Shaw Bush or Bush Shaw? What's a better nickname? Shaw Bush? Shaw Bush.
No. Rizzo and Bryant where they were in 16 compared to where Matt Shaw
I know.
and Matt Shaw will be, and Michael Bush.
I know.
Come on, Nico.
One of them was an MVP.
Come on, Nico. Come on, Dansby.
9:00 opener. Man, opening day should be always.
What do you mean? We already had
our
our opener at 5:00.
14 games tomorrow. 28 teams are playing. It's.
Oh,
like,
I have to do my T-Mobile
like
MLB TV thing, right?
Wasn't that yesterday?
That was yesterday. I think you can still get in.
Can I still? I gotta find. If I can't get in, this is gonna be a short
it's
show.
the only, it's the only reason I stay with T-Mobile.
This is gonna be a short show. If I can't get in.
T-Mobile is yanking people's chain in this town. They get 5G. Yeah, they got 5G. Okay, I have more trouble like navigating the internet on my phone.
The amount of time that I have to turn off my Wi-Fi and like then have to recalibrate my cell because I'm on T-Mobile too. The amount of time, the amount of tinkering and troubleshooting I have to do with my phone for my phone to work on the internet is absolutely ridiculous. Now I don't pay for my phone, so I don't know how much we're paying.
Oh, that's a flex.
But not yet.
Not everybody lives at home with their parents.
I don't live at home with my parents. I don't live at home with my parents.
Your parents still have you on their cell phone plan?
Yeah, but we made a deal that
now the insurance one, you milk that to the very end.
Once this sucker dies, then I have to buy my own. That's the rule we have. So when she goes, when she's done, then I have to start paying for my own phone. But currently, we're hanging on by a thread. I pay for everything else. I pay for the rent, pay for the student loans, pay for the utilities, pay for the water. I pay for the YouTube TV now.
Now, do you know why I ask you for advice?
I'm growing
Thank
up. Right before your eyes. Look at my beard.
Here's the thing.
You've never seen it this bit.
Here's the thing about T-Mobile. So yesterday I was bitching about Panera. Today is T-Mobile. Then when you have an issue with T-Mobile, you call them, and they are like the nicest people in the world.
Well, that's nice.
And like, oh, Mr. Sharp.
Don't you kind of,
Mr. Sharp, you've been a customer since. Oh, wait a minute. The cell phone was invented from Sprint to T-Mobile. Yes, ma'am, I have been. Oh, we are so glad to have your loyalty. What can I do for you? And I'm like, oh my God, that voice got me. Yeah, maybe I don't have a problem. It might be just me. I might have butt dialed you. I don't know.
It's my fault.
It's like quitting the gym. It's like you end up with another gym membership when you get on the phone.
Thank you for answering. You have a nice day.
This is Clarissa here. How are you, Mr. Sharp?
You're talking to somebody that when I was a young kid, that when the people that had the nice white dress shirt on their bikes would come to our house, I would let them in and just have them sit in the front room.
I got a spanking one time for answering the door to one of them during Price is Right because you don't interrupt the Showcase Showdown.
I like to talk to people. It started when I was young.
You're the type of guy, the Jehovah Witness would come up to the door and you would open it up and you would stand there and you would listen.
Why are you dressed like John Chaney?
That's who they were because I was more enamored because usually they really cool bikes. And I was like, oh, can we talk about the bike? And they wanted to tell me about,
God.
I think. I wasn't interested. I was like, oh, I'm Catholic. I don't need that. But what about your bike?
You seem falling down. Yeah. You look like Michael Douglas's character.
So this is a long way to this point of everybody that is out there that is a fan of Nebraska athletics. This is a big moment for you. You had a monster moment yesterday.
Oh, I know what this is.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
I'm here for it.
Pour one out. Slap yourself on the back. High five your cubicle mate. High five the person in traffic next to you. Bring back the high five for God.
We're good.
Because we got really, really loud. There's a thing called pride in this state. We are all from Nebraska.
Not us. Actually.
I am now a Nebraskan. I've lived longer.
Oh, I know.
I've lived longer in Nebraska than I did in Iowa growing up.
I get that.
Longer than I've lived in Florida. So I am a Nebraskan. Jimmy, you're getting there. You're a long way to go. So we live in this state. We have a lot of pride. We fight back. We're inside of the borders from the 402 to the 308 to whatever is out west beyond Gretna.
What are you running for mayor?
No, but I'm going to see a lot of
running for governor.
By the way, I'll see a lot of
whether you're a 308 or a 402. I have you.
I will see a lot of you politicians tonight at the Christ the King banquet. Starts at 7. John Cook will be there.
Hell,
I got jokes.
If you need a speechwriter.
But when Trev Alberts, you remember Trev?
Remember Trev? Let me go back.
I remember him from this show. Yes.
Yeah, I remember Trev.
Remember Trev? By the way, look at Texas A&M's baseball team.
Nick Grimm has given them a nickname.
Remember when Trev tinkered with the floor at PBA before he left?
Yeah.
And
tinkered.
The fan base got very, very irate.
Tinkled.
They got upset. They
I
were
was gonna
more
make that
upset
joke.
about the floor than the basketball they saw in the 24-25 season. But that's who we are as Nebraska fans.
I was about to
Okay.
say, we get the Nebraska fans,
All right.
I went there. We get very upset about what happens on the field, but we also get very upset about mascots.
Well,
we get very much
there's
upset
the-
about what kind of food is being served at the game. We get upset about the beverages being served at the game. You get upset about the parking
Yes.
situation.
You know-
get upset about the hardwood court that people are playing on.
Hey, there's the thing called with like being a Husker fandom, the Stockholm syndrome. And then there's just,
Great
you
song,
know
by
what?
the
Let's
way.
just be miserable. But you know what? We rose up as fans. We bounded together. Okay. We said,
Mike, why are you in such a bad mood, Mike? Why, Irene? They changed the court.
we rose up.
You
We
did it.
said, we're not going to do it. As fans, we came together. You're asking for us to donate more money, to put our butts in seats and not get a return on investment. And we said, no. And yesterday, Troy Dannon, who kudos to him, listens to the fans. We won yesterday. Folks, we won because out of nowhere, Troy Dannon drops on Twitter that fat basketball Herbie is coming back and the outline of the state of Nebraska is coming back to PBA. He listened to us fans. We have winner chicken dinner as a fan. Thank you. You listen to the fans that you want to be in your building, in your stadium to donate. You listened to us. You gave us something. I may actually renew my basketball season tickets now so I can sit in an empty
There's
PBA
no way.
and look at the floor
There's no way.
and see fat basketball Herbie spinning a basketball on his finger. And I can say, you know what? I've lived in that city. I've lived in that city. And I love red. We are winners today. Thank you, Troy Dannon. Now, if you can just win on that floor, that would be even better. But you know
Slow down.
what? Hey,
One thing at a time.
Baby steps. Baby steps. We
that
went
could
from
be-
0 to national championships in the 90s. I can be patient for a day.
You get a couple of free Valles passes, and now you're asking for a raise next. One
would
day
be-
at a time.
I love that. That would
Take
be,
your victory.
That would be even. I love how you put it. That would be even better. As if you're fine. You're satisfied. The 2026 season, it can write itself. I don't give a damn. We have, the cartoon in the middle. We got the mascot in the middle.
Cartoon.
Cartoon? The cartoon is the thing that actually shows up at the games. That's the cartoon. Now, again, if I have a request list, because we're going to do this little
Tiny
exercise,
Toons was a cartoon.
I'm getting rid of that thing that's walking around like with a human inside. But if you want to give me the Herbie that is the athletic Herbie that we thought we were going to get a lot of. Remember when they introduced this like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And this was going to be like the main
thing.
Yeah. And it started to show up on some gear, and
Yes,
we're like,
yes.
oh yeah,
They still have that gear.
they do.
They still
but
have
it
that
didn't
gear.
show up like in prominent spots.
No.
And now the Herbie is back.
I
and
thought-
he's spinning a basketball.
I think
Bet the over
I think the
on all
Herbie
things
thing-
Nebraska
I
now.
think the Herbie thing, people originally thought, oh, wow, they're going to put it in a lot of gear. But then it turned out to be just like a spring release. It's like, oh, this is hot right now. We're just going to release all this Herbie
We were
stuff.
going to have, remember, we're going to have wrestling Herbie.
Yeah. Well, they
baseball
released
Herbie.
they released
Look
the
what they
page
missed
of
out on.
all the they released the page of all the different Herbies that they had. They had golf Herbie, and I thought, man, if they could get that golf Herbie on a Tommy Bahama,
Firethorn would
Oh
be
my
banging in the pro
God.
shop
Oh
at
my God.
Firethorn.
the amount of people who would be wearing a golfing Tommy Bahama quarter zip with Herbie Husker right here, just on the chest, would be absolutely
I mean,
insufferable.
that does sound kind of
Now,
sweet.
here's the part of being a Husker fan of excitement of seeing that. And I might be overblowing this a
Yeah,
little bit.
I
but
think
the
you
floor,
are.
But the floor is cool.
I don't think
The
you
floor
are.
is cool. I think we need to make Nebraska athletics cool. Having that floor, because it's an us thing. You guys
You know
don't
what's
understand.
cool?
You
Winning
don't
games is cool.
Hey, you
That's
don't-
cool.
That's an easy out. Yeah, that's a cop out. Okay, it's not
Thank
about
you.
it's
That's
not-
what I always
It's
tell
not about
people.
winning games.
That's what
It's
you're
all
try-
about being
what
cool.
do you mean?
Okay, it's
What
about
do you
being
mean
cool.
it's a cop out?
No,
It's
no.
what you literally go onto the field to do.
Because I can't
all
get-
the money
hey,
we invest is
I-
to win,
I-
not to look at a fat guy, twirling a basketball
I
on a
can't
court.
guarantee wins, but I can guarantee being cool. Okay, what's
Also-
the baby steps
Also,
here?
what do you have
All right,
against
all right,
linemen?
hey,
Fonz, jeez.
I've been beaten the head for being a Nebraska basketball fan for years and years and years. All right, that's why I got a bump right there. You see that? For everybody that was on TV. So
Morning, guys.
there is
Morning.
the part of being a Husker fan where I know I'm embellishing this and going over the top, but it's an
Are
us
you,
thing.
though?
It's no,
I'm with you.
You know what? Other people outside of here, they don't get it. Like people in Iowa City are like, I don't see that. It's an us thing, and you know what? Get off. because that's special to us. Now, it would be nice to win, but there's the other part of being a Husker fan. When you look at a floor and you get all excited and everybody's like, oh my God, here we go.
Oh my God, I can't wait for Burkay to brick a 34-footer from there.
Did Zach email that already?
Hey, that's not turkey on the floor. You're shooting from Beatrice.
Can't wait for Price to pull up from Crete.
So after I saw it and I went, okay, I immediately thought,
what was that voice?
This is Dannon doing it as a distraction for as frustrating as his past season was. He was like, I know now you guys are losing your mind over the portal and that we're going to the Crown and guys are going to make money and this season sucked.
Here's a court.
It's a distraction. I'm like, Dannon, that's a smart move. But us fans, we rose up, we spoke, and we got our court. Now, let's speak about other things so we can get more stuff.
I know it's coming.
I was about to say, do you think if you say Donovan Dent into the microphone loud enough that
no, he's going to talk about Coke and Pepsi.
I think he's going to be playing in Cincinnati next year. You're going to follow his coach to Cincinnati?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Over at Xavier.
Yep. All right.
That'd be one hell of a move. Oh my God, that'd be massive for the Big East.
So, we got connections to the power chair down there in Lincoln. I think we should make a list. If we said, we want the state outline back, but then you throw in Fat Herbie on the floor, we're like, we should make a list of things that the fans want that are reasonable, not coaching changes,
right? Not a moat NIL, around Memorial Stadium,
not portal,
very
but
niche,
like things for the fan. The fan, we can make a list and then we will pass it along and we'll see if it comes to fruition. Because right now, I do think, in all seriousness, because, we're getting tapped so that we can have more room on the side of our chunky buttocks in the stadium or, like
Irish
accommodations
at Memorial Stadium.
What do we need? Because I think we have a little bit of power of the fan. Also, I think sometimes we don't vote with our butt, but here I think we can. Because if you were voting with your butt and you were frustrated with Nebraska basketball, you wouldn't keep going, and then somebody have to go,
Nah.
But we're loyal and we keep going. So I think we have a little bit of power as a fan right now. We got the floor. What else do we need? Walking tacos in Memorial Stadium?
You're like Kevin Costner on draft day, like in the final scene. You're like, what else do we need? Need special teams. Putney. Get David Putney. Who's your David Putney?
By the way, I like the clean look. I will say that. I like the clean look.
I like the court. The court is fine. If I'm being honest with you, in terms of the check marks of the importance of things that needed to get done in Nebraska basketball, the court for me was pretty low on the list. But I do like the state outline. I always thought the state outline was a little cool. It was a little bit different. I was upset when they got rid of the state outline. I'm fine with it now. But in turn, when I saw it on Twitter yesterday, I go, all right, cool.
Bryce Sanford, they bring him into a room today on his visit as he's transferring from Iowa, looking for a home. They bring him in there, and the big Dutchman, who should be his host and never leave his side while he's in Lincoln,
just hold his hand.
They bring him into a conference room, and they say, Price, I know you're a suburban Des Moines kid, but you've played in Omaha and AAU tournaments in the Adidas event. How would you like to shoot from here? And people will go, oh my God, he made one from St. Paul, and you have no idea. You think it's in the Twin Cities. You would be shooting from here. That's what they do.
What if Price was like, I actually want to shoot one from my hometown? They're like, all right, we'll put the Iowa outline on there too.
I don't think that's allowed to shoot over the basket.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Wait a minute. Let's see.
Dude, Perfect's made a career out of that.
You might be onto something here. Because the state isn't ginormous.
It's not a big state.
Yeah, you know what? That would be in
the paint. If you would be in the restricted area.
If you said Waukee, no, you would be out beyond the 3-point arc. You made 57 threes at Iowa last year. You'd be there. They could do that. So,
I mean, the end of the state. I mean, like if you did the full skate, the end of the state would be at the restriction area. But yeah, be right at the 3.
No, because like the midcourt is the state, and then Waukee, Des Moines.
Yeah,
2 hours away. You've driven by Des Moines. You would be probably 3-point range.
Really?
You know what? Why don't we go a step further? Why not just do the whole United States? Because then you could say Nebraska is for everybody.
Hell yes, America.
You know what? Yeah, and then after you beat, hey,
you like this idea
and then after you whoever you beat in the Big Ten, you go and the players stomp on their state on the floor.
This is like too many cooks.
Would you hate that though? I wouldn't hate that if they had They made Nebraska obnoxiously big, and then all the other states around Nebraska were just kind of small. It looked like a disproportionate map. It's just like, why is Nebraska so big?
Hell, while we're off the rails, why don't they just do the whole state of Nebraska on the floor?
The whole damn.
Yeah, the
thing
whole
on
and
these
expand it
sheets.
where you see like the highways and the tributaries.
Yeah, well, you know what?
And
That
you see the
landmarks.
You see
Can
the
I-
Platte
can I-
River.
can I be
You
honest
got the
with you?
sandhills out here. The sandhills are in the corner by the Nebraska bench.
I got to wait. You're joking. I think that'd be kind of cool. What if you had a faint outline?
What
Just
makes
a
you
very
think he's
faint-
joking? I'm in.
like a
I
very-
like this.
Like
I'm
a very
listening.
very faint. Like you put the county lines in there, whatever. Maybe we
And you
have
number the counties.
Maybe we have a
so we learn.
Maybe
Well,
we have a
hey.
line denomination to be like, hey, this is where Rocky Mountain time starts in the Panhandle.
Hey, we have gotten more kids are on drugs now because we don't say the say no to drugs pledge. But if we put the county numbers on the floor, our kids would be smarter. They might do drugs, but they're going to be smarter.
I will
like this
learn.
idea. You know what? Nebraska's for everyone. Kind of.
Cleveland's great for the family.
All right, we are off and running.
We've been off and running. We've been
Hey.
sprinting.
Let's go, Fred.
Let's go, Fred. Let's go, Fred. Let's go.
This is
Fred.
like when you started the
Let's
just doesn't
go,
matter.
Fred.
Just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Actually, probably to most people, it doesn't. Just win the friggin' games.
There you go.
All right.
I was waiting for that, Shark.
Beat McCollum, beat DeVries, beat Medved.
That's gonna be tough. Those are three good coaches.
What would you? What is more?
Gamble.
What is more likely to happen next year? You beat those three coaches, or somebody beats the traffic home after a Nebraska game?
Probably Ben McCollum
I-
wins the Big Ten.
John Walker on Creighton's offseason. And, oh my gosh, Creighton basketball. Oh, I didn't know if they would be able to survive after Doug. Oh my God, what's going to happen if Kalkbrenner? John will join us coming up at 9. Brandon Vogel at 9:40. 16:20 The Zone. The double bang is spreading. That was there's a radio guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't the light on?
Yeah, very much so.
Right.
We were very much live and
Good
ready
morning,
to go.
Crash from 101.9 The Keg.
Bang!
He just walked in here
Bang!
and he wanted to talk to me about banging. It'd been an awkward morning.
I just realized this song was perfect timing. I
Uh,
did that by accident.
Here is E. Good morning, Eric.
Eric?
Eric is gone.
Eric.
Eric, put down the phone.
Eric.
Call back, please, because he had suggestions.
I like suggestions. Scott wonders, maybe this is on his request list now that we've gotten the floor back at the PBA. By the way, if you did not know, Troy Dannon loves red. The end zones in the Hawks Championship Center are bright red. Those really popped yesterday at Pro Day.
I hope he does. I mean, Nebraska's color is red.
Yeah,
I mean,
but we haven't embraced red.
I think we should.
much.
I've always been a fan of that.
But you can tell that Dannon likes red because you see the red pops a little bit more on the floor that was revealed yesterday. Scott says less old people working the gates at Memorial Stadium.
I couldn't agree less. I feel like that's part of the charm. I don't want young people working the gates at Memorial. I want to be greeted by, some people who have seen a lot of things that have happened at the stadium. I want to be greeted. Hey, hon, how are you? Enjoy the game. That's what I want.
Do they still utilize the Boy Scouts working at Memorial Stadium?
When I went to the games, I did not really see Boy Scouts all that often, if I'm being honest.
Eric is back. Thanks for calling back, Eric.
Hey, what's up? Sorry about that.
All good.
Hey, I think we should take a page out of the Phoenix Suns playbook and get the $2 menu or $3 menu back.
Yeah.
I think you do. I know it's not going to happen with the changes that they've done, but $2 tomboys would probably do a killing at TBC.
At first, I thought he was talking about failing in the postseason when he mentioned the Suns.
I thought he was going to say take a page out of the
other night.
Page out of the Suns book.
They win a lot during the season.
We should harness down Herbie. You know how they have a gorilla and they bring that gorilla down.
He's the gorilla.
I know. There's in PBA. What if we put Herbie on a harness and from the catwalk he came all the way down onto the court?
Awful.
Do you know how cool that would be? Flying Herbie. Flying Herbie would be awesome.
There will be lawyers.
That would be inspirational,
Or
if
terrifying.
If a farmer could go in the harness and fly the skies of Lincoln, Nebraska, so can I, Dad. I want to be Herbie when I grow up.
We took, of course, the whole gamut to Providence last week. So the Durango went. And I don't know who the kid is in Durango, but he passed me getting out of the elevator.
In Durango gear
no,
or
out of Durango?
He
was out of Durango.
It was inhuman.
Gear.
Oh, okay.
And the person that was with me goes, "That's Durango." And so I said, "Durango." And the kid turned around and he said, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "That's pretty cool. Like you've taken on the identity." But I don't
turn out his name really is Durango.
I kept it moving. Like you can't discuss that I'm Durango. You just give him a nod, an acknowledgement, and keep it moving.
No, they're very, very serious about that. I was
friends
with two of the people who were Herbie Husker, and I was told, Matt, you cannot tell anybody that that I am Herbie Husker. No one can know
Method
that this
actor.
is a thing.
I think they tell mascots
that they're on the cheer team is what they say, is what he used to say. Like,
they're part of it, and you get scholarships for being mascots.
Yeah.
So you know what? If you can't make a jump shot, maybe you could make a tumble in a costume.
They have camps.
Oh,
they have like Big Ten mascot camps.
I think you were gone last week, or when we were talking. So Sebastian the Ibis, John, who has now kind of retired from it because he's like in his late 50s. He was making mint. Rocky and the gorilla and the T-Wolf mascot make a ton of money as mascots. But the one thing that I think they've been told, because I remember when I was involved in selecting the mascots in Lincoln, is you don't tell anybody. You got to keep it secretive. You can tell like your family, but don't tell anybody else. And then when you get to your end of your run as the mascot, and most of it goes through your entire college career, if you're lucky enough, like at graduation, you reveal that you are the mascot.
You do it like wrestling.
You see a lot of pictures of the you'll have the mascot head, and you have your cape on, and then you go, hey, yes,
it's Joey from Econ.
I was the mascot.
We had no clue. 4 years.
I knew it.
Warriors, that son of a... Can't say it. I love Jim Ross. We should have a Jim Ross drop on the show at all times. No matter when. I just want a Jim Ross.
We
You
have Rick
son of a...
Ross.
Well, that's good too. But no, it's intense. I would love to see. I don't think they would ever let me, but I would love to be a fly on the wall for Big Ten mascot camp. I would love to see all 18 mascots out there trying to practice
an Arlie Ermy type.
Practice how to wave. Practice how to. You know.
Well, hopefully this means that if
Fist bumps,
fat
thumbs
basketball
ups.
spinning Herbie is on the floor, that's what the mascot will actually be for basketball.
Oh, maybe new costume? Do you think a prerequisite of being Herbie next year will you have to be able to spin a ball?
It should be. It should be. And they should get rid of the current Herbie and bring back the tough looking Herbie.
You are
if
the
Herbie
only
on the
one
floor,
who does not like the current Herbie.
No.
Everybody, it's never good
I
enough.
think even the
Everybody
guys
hated the blue-eyed, brown-haired Herbie.
I think
Or the
even the guys from the
brown-eyed
Killigans,
whatever.
because they're associated with Herbie shooting T-shirts into the crowd, they're even like, get rid of him. Okay, we'll give you the song, but you got to get rid of that Herbie. I'm pretty sure that's been mentioned before.
You're throwing the Killigans in here like they got a lot of pull.
Hey, if it came down to getting rid of the Killigans song or the current Herbie, I mean, I don't think I'm dropping the Killigans off the back of South Stadium, but the current Herbie, I would do that in a heartbeat.
I like the current Herbie. I think the current Herbie is hardworking. It's rough and tough. It's a rough and tough. It's a rough and tough looking farmer.
That thing would walk into a convenience store to try and rob it, and the person behind the counter go, "Get out of here!"
No, it'd walk into the convenience store to get a nice.
Would rob him.
To get some steak and potatoes. That's what that Herbie would do.
All right, hour 2 coming up. We'll talk some football. It was a football day in Lincoln yesterday. It was also a bad night for baseball in Manhattan for the Red. Good for the Blue over at Tal Anderson, and a big day of black and red at UNO today for softball. All that and a little Sweet 16 talk. Let's go portaling in hour number 2 on 1620 The Zone. Hey, welcome back. Hour number 2, just like the Hawk Tua girl is back. After her,
I saw that last night.
After her
before
pump
bed.
and dump coin scheme, she's back, baby. My podcast are back.
Talk Tua.
Oh
my God, she's got to get Tua Tagovailoa on, right? I mean, Tua's having a
He's
great summer
partying
himself,
right now.
right?
He doesn't have time
No,
for
he's having an
podcasts.
awesome summer. This would be a great opportunity for Tua and Hawk Tua to talk to Tua.
I
Talk
think,
Tua to Tua.
I think she did go to a Dolphins game last fall.
She's got to. She's got to be the biggest Dolphins fan. I think. I mean, that has to be a prerequisite.
Maybe
I
she'll
feel
hook
like.
up
She's
with
just
Jaime
gotta-
Jaquez.
Oh my God! Can you imagine if the Miami Dolphins sold like a Talk Tua jersey? Do you know how quickly those would fly off the shelves?
I'd
if
still
that
wear
was
my
like
merino.
NFL branded.
I'm sure after the coin scheme, there'll be a lot of stuff that's flying off the shelves.
So is she just fine? She's just good now? I mean, she did that, and it was kind of a cool video that she did. I was kind of impressed with I'm just saying, the production of the video that she did was quite impressive. You know?
All off of answering
I
a
mean, it
question
was
when
all
you're
not as
drunk at
impressive
2 a.m.
as she had the video that got her fame.
Yeah.
But she's back, baby. You think America is down and out? People can make a comeback.
By the way, this is how you extend
call
your
it a
15
comeback.
your 15 minutes of fame, right? You drag it out all the way to 15, then you commit a crime, and then you disappear because then you become famous for committing a crime and disappearing, and then you come back, and now we're back to the 15 minutes of fame of Hawk Tua. She might be a genius.
I think you just described the American way.
Yeah.
And on that note,
Or
here
O.J.
is
Simpson.
a grand old American himself, old man Doug. Good morning.
Hey, have you guys ever heard of Creighton basketball?
Nope, never heard of it.
I didn't think so.
The high school?
My goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're finally getting somebody Creighton on at 9 o'clock.
What are you,
Albeit
Doug, stop it. What are you talking about?
What am I talking about?
What are you talking about, Doug?
There's too much Nebraska basketball talk on here. And
They
we've
had a
got
new court, Doug. It's beautiful.
So
It's
it's big
pretty.
news.
There's a state outline on it. There's a little star that indicates where Lincoln is. If you walk onto the court, you can actually point out where your mother and your grandmother and your grandfather grew up. And you got a nice little fat farmer. He's spinning a basketball on his finger. What do you mean? What else is there to talk about?
You
Did
fat
Creighton
shamey.
redo their court? If Creighton redid their court, we talk
Hey,
about it.
For the record, Doug, last year, before this past season, when they redid their court, we discussed their court as well.
That's my whole point. It's maybe we should talk about wins and losses and potential transfer portal people. How's that?
You've got the floor. What would
Yeah.
you like to talk about?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead, Dougie.
I'm not sure if somebody tweeted, he wasn't a Creighton that said Pop Isaacs was in the portal. And I don't have the time to follow. Is he in the portal? Or
No,
do you guys know?
he is not in the portal.
Okay.
As of
But then
8 or 7:08 right now. He is not.
I texted that to a Creighton friend of mine who covers Creighton. And he said, well, that's old news. That was 36 hours ago. And I was sitting there thinking, geez, did I forget to read the World Herald yesterday? Which I didn't. I was traveling and I had meetings all day. So I have no idea. But it sounds like Owen Freeman and Dix were on campus yesterday. And I don't know what you guys are hearing. But maybe you're not hearing anything. But I would like you to ask John about, because
There's
if
going to
Popeye
So there's two
would
guys.
go into the transfer portal, that would be very, very disappointing.
Well,
that would be almost as disappointing as Nemhart.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. At some point, there has to be some gratitude and loyalty out there. At some point, and here's where I'm coming from, and I hope he stays. But let's just say he goes. He got paid to come here, and I'm sure Creighton paid to fix a prior injury that he had, which is fine. And then you leave when you're a starter coming back on a pretty good program and team. Like I said, I hope he stays, but that would be the ultimate, as Jack Mitchell would put it, groin kick.
Well, I don't know what the status is. I'll ask John about. There's two guys, Ty Davis and Pop Isaacs. what their status is, what their roles would be for next year if they return. I mean, what do you think he would stay if he had to take a pay cut?
Who, Pop?
Yes.
I have no idea what he got paid. I don't think they'd give him a pay cut personally, but maybe. Here's the thing, and this is the I'm against paying players, and I always have been because, and it's not the guys like Kalkbrenner, Ashworth, Bryce Williams at Nebraska, those kinds of people, because they perform. But how about the kid that comes in and gets paid and then doesn't produce? In the real business world, you fire them.
Yes.
And so that is where I'm saying is it's just like we're handing out all this money. Oh, kids got to get paid or whatever. Getting a college education is a pretty good internship. Particularly now, Nebraska is cheaper tuition because it's subsidized by the state more than probably anywhere I know.
Well, it's public versus private.
Yeah.
And if you sit there and say, okay, you're an 18 to 22-year-old kid who hasn't really done anything yet in let's just say on the court, so to speak, or in business, you don't pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars on potential. You pay it on, production. So in my mind, no one gets injured on purpose, obviously. But in my mind, I think, Pop, if again, and maybe, like I said, maybe that's an idiotic rumor, and I wasn't sure. And I'm not sure if you guys are being sarcastic.
No, we don't know. Owen Freeman was on campus yesterday, and that would be he's not a replacement for Kalkbrenner, but he's 6'10". He can shoot it. He was 2 years ago the co-freshman of the year. His season got ended this year with an injury. That'd be a really, really good pickup. He's a top 10 guy in the portal right now. Let me ask you a quick question before we move on, Doug. When you go to Creighton games and you go to the concession stand and you tap your card and it says, do you want to donate to the Bird Club? What do you do? That is Creighton's men's basketball collective. It's a really, really good organization, well run. Do you say, yes, I would like to round up or whatever they ask you?
Well, I generally don't pay for my beer because I pay for the tickets and the donation. So my sons or whoever's with me usually pay for the beer. So to be honest with you,
okay.
Does that pop up when you go?
Sure.
Yes.
I thought you were going to ask me if I bought the what's the beer that goes to the NIL there.
What is it? Let It Fly? Something. I mean,
I'm a Fairy Nectar. Yeah, I'm a Fairy Nectar pint 9 kind of guy.
You know what?
Not the point.
Okay, you saved yourself there. Here, Doug, we got to move on. Thanks for the call.
I do want to talk about this for a second, though, because it really is an interesting conversation, and this isn't necessarily to do specifically with Creighton. It just it came up in a Creighton combo, right? But Doug goes, there should be some gratitude and loyalty, right? We're at a point just in college athletics in general where, yes, gratitude and loyalty and all those principles are very, very good. And those are things that people build like their pillars and programs on. But at the same time, if there's a player who suffered an injury or is recovering from an injury or went to a place and got to that place and the coaching staff invested a lot in them, but you know what? It just isn't for them and it didn't work out. And maybe there are external factors that play into, maybe they don't like being in that city or they don't like going to that school or they're too far away from the family, whatever that is. The NIL and the transfer portal have created an avenue for players to go and find themselves better situations. And so I understand the conversation of, well, gratitude and loyalty. At the same time, if you need to do what's best for you, you need to just go and do what's best for you. And this is what all of this is about, or at least the core of what the transfer portal was about was this. Go and find yourself your best opportunity, the thing that works for you, and you're given the freedom to do that. And so, yes, I know that fans would like certain players to stay and would like players to maybe take hometown discounts or maybe play some things out for longer. But like, I've always been in favor of, if a player is unhappy or a player thinks that things are better for them and they've properly scoped out the situation, they should be able to go, and that previous fan base and that, whoever used to root for them should just respect that decision, because that human is doing what's absolutely is best for them. And I hope that everybody recognizes that you would do the same in terms of doing what is best for you. That's my opinion.
I love callers to this radio station because if you have a nickname, you always stay on brand. If you are random, you have the most random stuff you'd like to talk about. If you are Nebraska ball, you talk about Nebraska basketball with passion like Mike does. And if you are old like Doug is, you stay with old man takes. Okay? You got to
Players shouldn't get paid, and I'm a fairy nectar guy.
You got to adjust. And hey, the money, there's a reason why 800 plus players are in the portal as of 7:00 this morning, and it's been open for just 2 full days. There is a gobsmack of money out there. Okay? So, you go get your bag. Loyalty, it sucks. I would love, when I was a kid and following baseball, I could tell you every starting lineup of every major league team because it hardly ever changed, and you got attached to the players. Unfortunately, times have changed with free agency in professional sports and now free agency in college sports. That's why we should embrace, and I'm not saying that guys that hopscotch around the country are bad, but we probably also need to talk more about the guys at Omaha that stayed for 3 years when they had opportunities to leave, or Ryan Kalkbrenner that stayed. Those kind of guys probably need to get more run, but I get it. The one and done or get into and get out, they probably get a little bit more love because they're the ones that get the attention, and the attention that the 5-year star player, one of the greatest in your program, got the most was when he was being recruited before he got on campus. So it's the times are changing. It's you have to adjust with it, but you have to play the game. You have to play the game. There's so much money out there right now for players. And I'm telling you, watching football, there's going to be a name that I think will jump that you'll go, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Because
it's gonna be
until till the middle of the summer, if this gets passed, you have no scrutiny. Your guy can make as much bag as he wants to.
Well, you talk about
it's a free market.
It
you know
is.
What?
It is.
Hey, it's a free market. It look at coaches and players. It's life. Life now is incorporated in college athletics, and we didn't think that was going to be happening because that was going to be our escape. Okay, it wasn't like real life, but listen, if you had a chance to go to a different job where you're getting paid more money and you have more exposure and a different level, I don't care if you're in business or you're in coaching, you're in radio.
You have things you want to accomplish.
You're going to do it. And I'm not looking down on a Ben McCollum. I'm not looking down on a Darren DeVries. I'm not looking down on a Nico Medved because you know what? I do the same thing for an opportunity.
Same.
And you thank the people that gave you that first opportunity, and you thank the people that are giving you the next opportunity.
That's
life.
And we'll sit here
life.
and rightfully so, we're going to celebrate the guys who stay in a program for an extended period of time. You know what? Because that's not seen a lot, and that's rare, and we celebrate rare things. You're never going to catch me scorn a player for going from here to here to here to here, because that's what's best for them. They have goals in mind. They have things they want to accomplish in their life. We only get one shot at this thing, right? If you have this goal and you have to do the things that you have to do in order to accomplish that goal, go ahead and do it. At the same time, and I like that you brought up this point, thank the person, that helped give you that first opportunity. Just as long as you gratitude reciprocates, right? If a guy expresses gratitude for the place that he's been previously, I will never, ever have a problem with what they're doing in the future. Now, if a guy, and this is just a hypothetical, and I'm not saying this is the case at all, but let's just say hypothetically, Pop Isaacs goes to a different school this year. Enters transporter, goes to a different school, and then in his first press conference at that different school, rakes Creighton through the mud, says mean things about Creighton. Just is just very rude about
talking about the streetcar.
Yeah, if that happens, fine. Then you might have a gripe. I agree. You could have a gripe to have with that player because they're saying mean things about your program. But just because they got up and left and they are doing what they believe is best for them, no. This is the life we're in. And frankly, this is what sports is going to be, and this is what sports has been for coaches. Now it's just for players. And frankly, whether you like it or not, it is what it is. And you have to get used to it. And if you...
He just said that's life.
It's life. And so you can choose to be mad about it all the time, but that just seems like a really miserable way to root for sports.
When we come back, we'll celebrate an old guy.
I like that.
Damn, I want to go back to that helmet. That's deep.
I like breakfast on a helmet, and I like your going. Here's the thing, though. You're saying that like you're not going to have a lot of food. Like you're going to have a lot of food. You have a lot of different items in that helmet.
Yeah,
like
but
I feel like,
won't make a ton. It would basically fit in a skillet.
God, I want a ham. Now I want a little
Like
like
just a-
carved ham. No, I want a little like carved ham on the side of 2 eggs now. Maybe you poach an egg. Poach an egg and put it right in the middle. Just plop that thing right in the
I'm
middle.
not looking to work that hard, but I'd like to get paid.
It's 9:00 at night.
I don't know.
All right.
Just poach an egg.
All right,
It's
a little bit
all
later,
running.
John Walker will join us. Lots of questions on Creighton. But Owen Freeman from Iowa, 6'10", averaged about 17-7 last year. Be a really good pickup. You're not replacing Ryan Kalkbrenner and what he could do, but Freeman in that offense with some versatility and shooters that they already have that are coming back, be very interesting.
It would be.
Creighton defensively will be a mystery in the 25-26 if you look at their current.
It might be a little bit
roster.
like Purdue this year.
All right, we come back. Let's talk old people. Let's praise old people. Let's have Senior Citizen Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Hey, the most valuable asset of your home is your roof. Sometimes it's on fire. Sometimes it has holes. Sometimes it's old and just needs to be replaced. And you know what? An Omaha roofing company by the name of Moose Roofing. They've been here since 1996. They have over 15,000 roofs or roof in this town that they have taken care of. You know why? Because they are top-notch. Pat and the entire crew at Moose Roofing, they do it the right way. They are Omaha. They're here before the storm, during the storm, and after the storm. Their business isn't on wheels. Their business is permanent. And their business is taking care of people in Omaha, Bennington, Elkhorn, Millard, Gretna, La Vista, Papillion, Ralston, and Council Bluffs, and the surrounding communities. You know why? Because their consultants are going to take time to get to know you. Their customers become their friends, and then their friends, word of mouth, tell somebody else about their experience with Moose Roofing, and the next thing you know, their house is being fixed with Moose Roofing. Ventilation system that achieves maximum net-free area, they got that taken care of. They're going to show you how to fortify your roof before the next major storm occurs and how proper and preventive maintenance can save you thousands over the lifetime of your roof. That's what they do. They are experts, and they go a step further because once you get the roof on, then there's that insurance guy that's going. Moose Roofing has an entire department dedicated to helping you navigate the ever-increasingly difficult insurance claims process. They do it the right way. So this most recent storm or the storms that'll be coming in the spring, because you know they will, make sure your roof is in top-notch shape. Moose Roofing is the place to look. Look them up online and contact them online. mooseroofing.com. That's mooseroofing.com. You know how they say black don't crack?
Yeah,
Let me fasten my seatbelt.
I just.
Well, no, this ain't no fasten seatbelt.
like-
This is the truth. I'm about to tell you about something.
no,
Like
trust me, I
last
know,
week.
yeah.
Last week, I was like, I was driving, and I was leading the show, for a couple of days because you were out. Congratulations with the Omaha Mavericks.
This
And
just
it's
in,
just-
Gary wasn't here.
And it's just really, really
Yes.
funny.
We
It's
had a
just really,
blizzard.
really, really funny how I introduce, like, just how I would introduce the segments to how just you introduce the segments of, black don't crack.
That's true.
It's just classic.
Kinda
true.
like,
it's just funny. It's just weird. It's
'cause
way funnier than I am.
I was watching a interview with Fred McGriff yesterday. Fred McGriff has not aged since the Tom Amansky videos.
Is Tom Amansky still with us?
No, he is not.
That's what I thought.
Um,
Rest in peace.
Um,
But the crime dog looks great.
Thank
I
you.
know what you're talking about.
Thank you. We had Fort Myers Miracle, Hammond Stadium in beautiful Fort Myers, Florida. We had Tom Amansky Skill Night. And Tom Amansky, who lived in Florida, he was in Kissimmee at the time, which is just
the
outside
Astros
of
used to
Orlando. Came down and did the night. Really, really nice guy. But he didn't bring any of his videos, and I was ticked. But that's where Fred McGriff, the crime dog, who a lot of people only attach him to that instead of his really, really good career. I saw him do an interview yesterday that is recent. He was at the Blue Jays spring training. Man, that guy has not aged one bit.
He could jump right back in there.
He looks exactly the same as when he was the crime dog was swinging the stick from the left side of the plate. This is
Braves,
just an
Padres.
observation and now a transition. That's what it's called in radio.
So there's no. I'm learning.
Look at Mark Jones. He
No.
looks the same as when he was
I'm
doing Big
looking
12
at
games back in the
I'm
day.
looking at
Mark Jones and my Kings games is killing me. And the Kings personally as a team are killing me. Last night, I devoted time to watch them play the Thunder. By the way, Thunder first team to 60. Keegan Murray was great last night. Man, my team got wally mopped. My NBA season sucks.
Are you
and
a
it's on a night-
Sacramento Athletics fan this year?
No,
Are
no.
you half rooting
No,
for?
No,
the
he's been
Athletics?
loyal to the Beam team.
I'm
on
just
the,
a-
on the
I'm a-
145 degree turf that they're going to be playing on.
No, they're on grass. They
I thought it was turf for sure. I thought they were doing
Sutter Health Park. They completely changed everything.
California.
They were
It's all
talking
about
that it was gonna be
grass.
on turf.
Um,
My bad.
No, I mean, like
That's
last night
good.
I had a mixed night. So Jimmy returns to Miami. They play the video. He basically gives the finger, but then he embraces Riley. And then Golden State was brutal last night. Thank you. And the Heat, who have been brutal, got a victory. And then I'm watching late night with my Beam team, and Mark Jones, because he does the local when he's not doing national, he does
Yes.
the local. He kills me. But you're right. He has not aged either. He's like John Kelly. People in this community will remember John Kelly and Michael Scott. So
Not that Michael Scott.
two
Thank you.
reporters, John Kelly, the former Nebraska I-back, who got into TV and then was like Entertainment Tonight. I saw John Kelly maybe 2 years ago. Looks exactly the same, like as he was playing at Nebraska. Like he has not aged. And I'm like, man, what are you taking?
Giangreco. I met Mark Giangreco
Yeah.
over in Chicago.
Who's
Mark Giangreco?
the sportscaster?
The sportscaster.
Retired now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Met him. Kind of just popped in.
Yeah, he doesn't age either.
He popped in the ESPN. Hey, nice to meet you, Matt. Nice. I go, this guy looks like what he did in The Last Dance. I mean, just like
Yeah.
the tan, the beautiful skin. It's just smooth. The way, the softness of the hands. It's like he rubs cocoa butter on his hands like every night before he goes to bed and every day before he
Hey.
wakes up. Just a soft and supple human.
On that note, invest in Particle. Okay, invest in Particle. But with that said, old man Doug's call, which is tick some people off. Which let's just read some emails.
Got
here.
emails?
We always,
Um,
can I tell you something right now? This is exactly why Doug is a 1 seed when it comes to our communicators bracket, because not only does he come in firing with his own call, but he also makes everybody else email about what he talked about, which is just giving us more content.
It's caller on caller crime. John says if Doug wants to talk about wins and losses, what was the score of the Nebraska Creighton game?
Is that
What was the score of that
is
game?
is that not? I mean, that's just not going to. That won't get old until they play again next.
To be
year,
honest, I
right?
turned it off before the end because the game was out of hand and we had to get some sleep because we had football the next morning.
You can insert that line.
Wow,
And they're
you
in a
waited
lot of-
until 7:33 to go violent.
No, that's literally what happened.
Hey,
We were in a hotel in
hey.
Overland Park. And it was like, this game's over. Good night.
Here is just a tip. This is my tip.
Don't make a joke.
This is my tip to Fred Hoiberg.
Don't lose that game next year.
It's okay to lose to Creighton because usually when Nebraska beats Creighton, they end up having a bad year.
Yes.
All right. When you lose to Creighton and maybe you get blown out on your home floor,
I
you
remember.
go to the NCAA tournament. So maybe maybe
The
you
big
might want
brain
to follow
play.
that path.
Baylor Shireman was awful. Oh, not awful. He was awesome that day.
He was
hitting them from everywhere.
I announced that game. That was one of my better calls. I mean, he
gave you plenty of threes.
I think it was one of the better college basketball. That was up there. That first half performance was up there with some of the better college basketball performances I've seen. He didn't have a great rest of the game, but that first half was insane.
Next time I see Shireman, I'm asking about that mustache. Jesus, shave that thing.
I mean, he's turned into a Southie.
He's
he's in Boston.
He is hooping though. He's his time
getting
over the
some
Celtics
minutes.
of late. Joey writes in, Jay's looked much better without Pop Isaacs.
I don't know about. I mean, they beat the number one at the time. They beat the number one team in the country.
Did Jemiah Neal get better without
Yes.
Pop Isaacs? I still remember the rest game. He got his. Everyone else just looked with him off the court. In my opinion, just seemed like an odd fit. They didn't have room for Pop on the bench in Lexington. They only have a certain amount of seats. He had to sit where the managers sit,
the row behind,
like the row behind.
Mm-hmm.
There were some. There were some. I'm pretty sure there were some like assistant coaches on on other bigger teams that were like sitting in the row behind.
Because
you only have so many.
Yeah.
You only have so many seats, and so the managers and any other auxiliary people have to sit in that front row. Now, here's one thing.
Did my boy Amir Ora Khan wrong?
Here is the thing about Pop Isaacs. I mean, how many other basketball players in the state have a commercial on TV? He is in a commercial.
He is in a commercial,
which
does a lot for basketball, apparently.
So yesterday you were in Lincoln.
I was in Lincoln.
Does Ty Robinson, who, by the way, it seems like every day you see him, he gets bigger. Does Ty Robinson look more intimidating wearing glasses?
Yes.
Usually it goes the other way. People are like, nerd.
No.
There ain't no friggin' chance in a dark alley out behind the old Chartreuse Caboose in downtown Lincoln. I'm going, nerd! To Ty Robinson.
That place was
but
good.
Four eyes.
He looks more intimidating when he wears his glasses.
So I've actually had this convo with people maybe a year and a half ago. I go, he just looks like a dude when he puts on the glasses. He just looks locked in. He looks sharper. He looks like more like he's on it. When he doesn't, I'm not going to make fun of his physical appearance, but when he takes off the glasses, I'm almost like, in a very rare instance, I'm like, put them back on. Put them back on. You just look better. Some people just look better with glasses on. He's just one of those people who looks better with glasses on. He looked like he grew an inch.
Yeah,
he looked like he grew an inch, and he looks like lean, and he looks like he's one of those leans, Gary. And I know what I think you're going to follow me here. The muscle mass maybe isn't as much there as maybe it was during the year, but he looks stronger. He looks like leaner but stronger. Like he could really grab you. Like he could hold. Like he could really push you around right now. It's almost as if he could break an iron ball with his hand. He's just a longer, leaner, a little bit taller guy right now.
Yeah, and we're going to be mentioning him for I think a long time into this season about trying to replace him. They won't try and replace him individually. It's going to take 2 to 3. It's going to take a village to replace Ty Robinson.
They do have a village though.
But he's a guy that I think, and he raved about Rule and the Nebraska football program, and he used Nebraska, and Nebraska needs to use him. We also need to have somebody outside of Mel Kiper start singing the praises of Ty Robinson, because it's only really Mel Kiper that has any discussion about a deep defensive line draft class that brings up Robinson and has him in the second round. I've seen him in day 2, but not as high as Mel Kiper thinks about him. But look at the advantage of what you can use Ty Robinson for if you're Nebraska as a recruiting tool. A guy that's stuck around. I mean, he was here for a long time. He is able to rent a car, I believe. Okay? And not need he can rent a car. What do you have to be 25?
Yeah.
And I think he's 24. So they can use him as a recruiting tool externally and internally for guys to stick around, and that they will be developed and they will get them going in the right place. Now, he benefits from being here from Rule's first 2 years, but listening to a talk yesterday, I'm thinking, okay, who is the next Ty Robinson? Not necessarily in terms of impact, because he's going to be tough to replace, but that guy is Deshaun Singleton. So Deshaun Singleton, who you didn't know if he'd have an extra year of eligibility to come back, and he went from being a Matt Rule surprise everybody before the start of his first season goes, oh yeah, Singleton's a Sunday guy, and we went, huh? To being attached to Connor Stallions and the Michigan cheating and the injury that he suffered in that game, to coming back. And I don't think consistently ever got back to where he was in the first couple of games of the 23 season. But the chatter around Deshaun Singleton, who is 6'3", 210, still is Sunday guy, but now they're going to move him around in the defensive backfield. So there's the impact guy on defense, but also a guy that is stuck around that maybe this time next year, as long as he stays healthy, we're talking about a Deshaun Singleton who has started to move up the draft boards.
I totally agree with you there in that regard, in terms of guys coming back and them being able to continue and improve and end up being drafted. And I think Ty is a little bit different, though, and he might have been able to have been drafted last year. Like, it would have been a stretch. I think he might have been in a Nash situation where the combine invite was going to be iffy. He was going to have a really good pro day. He was going to need a really good agent to try and get him to get drafted. And I think him coming back and boosting his stock, and now he's not only going to be a day 2 draft pick, he's going to get a heck of a lot more money. But I love this conversation about guys getting drafted and the importance of what it is for Nebraska, because there were a couple of things that Matt Rule said day one when he came into this program that have stuck out, stuck through the entirety of his tenure here, right? Building the culture, setting the standard, player development, and getting guys drafted, right? And Ty Robinson getting drafted would be massive for this program, because he was around and he was a contributor right before Matt Rule got here. But when Matt Rule got here, he took
by Scott Frost and the entire staff at his high school as a senior.
And he took that step up with Matt Rule. But I think if Nash Hupmaker got drafted, I think that would be a little bit more for this program than Ty Robinson getting drafted, right, would mean a ton is going to mean a ton for this program. But if Nash can get drafted in that 7th round and, be a day 3 pick, which I think he can, and man, I think he could be a really good player if a team with a 3-man front ends up getting him. I think it would be this perfect example of what the player development and getting guys to the NFL and the message that was sent from Matt Rule from day one would be about. Because he came in, Nash started 2 games, had 15 total tackles before Matt Rule came to this program. Matt Rule comes to the program. He, along with Terrence Knighton, helps develop Nash Hupmaker to the point where he started 25 games in his last 2 seasons, had 64 total tackles, had 6.5 sacks, and became a guy that you watch on tape and he popped. And people are like, man, when you put him over the center, he's a game wrecker. He's a game changer. And so Ty getting drafted is a great example of that development, and we can get guys in the NFL. But Nash getting drafted as well, a dude where you're like, man, he's there. He's a rotation guy. Can he break through? Can he be a starter too? No, he got drafted and he's in the NFL and he can make a difference. That's exactly what this program needs. We talk about it with basketball, building prestige, building tradition. These drafts matter for this program right now because that's how you build that stuff.
Let's go back to Ty here. I'm kind of listen to what you're saying about Nash. So let's say Ty didn't come back for his 6th year. Where do you think he would have been drafted? Would he have been a 7th round guy?
It would have been tight.
Okay, so he played himself into a second round. So I think that might be ahead of using the Nash example that you're going at, to have a guy that came back that makes a jump like that. Because probably if Nash is probably in the same spot he was when they look at him from a draft standpoint 2 straight years. Now, it'd be fantastic to get him drafted, and Fedoni's going to get drafted.
Yeah.
They need more day 1, day 2 guys instead of day 3. But if you can have depth and multiple guys get drafted, it's all for the better. I just think Ty if you're thinking, because you follow the draft closely, if you're thinking 2 years ago, Ty is a guy that might struggle to get drafted and might be a UDFA, to being potential 2nd round, I think that's a huge recruiting tool.
I think, though, we're talking about 2 different things, though, a little bit, right? Where you're talking about, hey, staying around, right? Hey, you're kind of on the border, and you're right there.
Nash did as well.
And Nash did as well. Staying around. Here, stick around, and we can boost you up. We can get you there, right? We can get you solidified and drafted. I think Nash and him getting drafted does a little bit more for the front end in terms of recruiting. So does Ty, too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they both do a ton for the front end in terms of recruiting. And I think they can look at Nash Hupmaker and be like, man, that guy wasn't starting. he was kind of in the rotation. He was kind of a tweener. Now we got to the point where he got drafted in the NFL and we developed him, right? Where the Ty convo, same thing, right? Kind of same potatoes a bit in the, hey, we can develop and help and get him to draft, but definitely more on your side. Like Ty is a glowing example toward getting senior transfer portal guys or keeping guys around for an extra year or boosting them. So
Deshaun Singleton's
a great example.
Deshaun Singleton got the junior college bump so he could come back for another year, but he's going to be an old man in the program. And can he be a Sunday guy? I mean, that
would be big.
I think he can be a Sunday guy. I think he will be a Sunday guy, especially at the 6'3", 210. I mean,
he's got it.
I've retired my getting, oh my God, look at the picture. I will say this. Keona Davis. Hello. Keona Davis, they locked him in the weight room. They put out a picture yesterday of him. Keona Davis, little boy body is starting to grow up, just as Terrence Knighton thought he would. But Singleton's got that hit sticker in the middle of the field body. I just think his health, if he can stay healthy and stay healthy for an extended period of time, then you can start to see Sunday guy. But it's just like, now can you roll this over where a guy stays in your program because they see a Ty Robinson, a Deshaun Singleton, they can be that next guy, and you can get that year after year of, hey, just stick with it. Fight through it. We're going to help you, and then we're going to use you as a recruiting tool, because I think those guys that are in the defensive line room or guys that are in the program now, regardless of what position, or who they're recruiting. Look at this. We got a guy, and where Ty Robinson was, because he was kind of lost too before
he started a whole year before they got there, but he wasn't nearly the impact guy
that he was in 2 years being under
and he made like both of these guys have the similar recruiting pitch in terms of look how much we developed him, right? And I just think that if you could have both of these guys, both of these D linemen who you were a little bit unsure about when Matt Rule came into the program, right? He came in, you're like, the D-line, we talked about the D-line in Matt Rule's first year as a weakness, as like, we don't know what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. We don't know if these guys can step up. And immediately they put themselves in a position to where they're at now, where they've gotten drafted. And I think that with Ty, he helps out the back end a ton with we keep hearing about it in all across sports and college sports. Older teams are going to win. Older teams are going to win. If a guy like Ty boosting his draft stock like that is going to keep the older guys around. I think Nash, though, is going to do a great job with the high school recruiting, in terms of look at what Nash was. Nash was a guy who was a wrestler. He was really raw still when we got him. He was playing football, but he wasn't really like producing at the level. We took him, we molded him into a draft pick. And maybe if we got him earlier, we had him for 2 years. Imagine if we had him for 4 years. Imagine if we had you for 4 years. So I just think that this draft and them both getting drafted, like it does a lot for the back end, but Nash getting drafted would do a lot for the front end as well. And I think this is a program you need both. You need, and every program needs to mend both. You need to be able to keep the guys, but you also need to be able to convince these recruits, man, we can take you, we can develop you, we can put you in the NFL.
All right, there's a early line out for a big game in November. For Nebraska that we will discuss as we roll till 10. A little bit later, we will talk Creighton basketball and the portal. The portal. Iowa, what do you call it? A Hawkeye that becomes a Blue Jay or a Hawkeye that becomes a Husker?
Hawk Jay?
Hucksker?
Hucksker.
It's got a spit on it.
Hawk 2.
It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, so I'm going through some implied point spreads according to the preseason SP Plus.
I love this.
By the way, Iowa Pick'em game, Iowa Nebraska, Nebraska USC. Nebraska would be a 3-point favorite in this game. If you are going by the lines of the implied point spread for every game according to preseason SP Plus, Nebraska floor 8 wins, ceiling 9 if they follow along. But
the over-under is 7.5, correct?
Yeah.
Is that what the official...
I think this might be the year that, last year was a year where people, I think, went the over. Smart people went under. I think this will be a more over-heavy play again.
Are they... So they are underdogs in the Penn State game. They are underdogs in the Michigan game. And then they would be underdogs in the UCLA game?
This has it as Nebraska 1-point favorite. 3-point favorite.
So how many games are they underdog in?
So they are Michigan.
Yeah.
They are Penn State.
Yeah.
And then they are, because they consider it a pick'em to be a flip.
Wow.
But being a
favorite in 9 games with a pick'em is...
On March 26th, by the way,
that's notable.
Pay attention to USC. USC is back to recruiting. Now, Lincoln Riley's got to do something with the groceries, and we've seen how he cooks.
No kidding.
But if you, on March 26th, if you fast forwarded to that game against USC, which will be an absolute banger, there will be a little bit of an importance surrounding that one, and Nebraska winning that game as a 3-point favorite, you'd be like, well, Nebraska's already bowl eligible, and Nebraska is knocking on the door of being talked about for the playoff a month out.
That would be that. I mean, already you're kind of looking at that November 1st game as a pivotal game of the year, considering the fact that, I mean, they're going to be favored more. They're going to be favored against Cincinnati and Akron and Houston Christian. I mean, they'll be favored in every game up until Michigan, right? And so you're going to account for, though, and you have to account for the fact that they're probably going to lose another. Let's say they lose the Michigan game. More than likely, they'll probably lose another one of those games in there, just based off what this team has done in the past, right? And this isn't me being a hater. This is just going off of what has happened, right? What we've seen from this program. Like, they'll probably drop one of the ones against Minnesota and, Maryland or Northwestern or Michigan State. But still, to have 2 losses with 4 games to go, playing a USC team, which I agree with you. I think they're going to be better, and I think they were better than what the record indicated last year. Anyway, I mean, if you go back to that Michigan game in Ann Arbor, I mean, they had that basically in tow, and a bad pick in the fourth quarter, hell of a play from Will Johnson, and then they couldn't bring down the running back who ran 60 yards. Michigan couldn't throw the ball. Like, that's a team that I thought their record was. I still think they're a pretty good team, and they're still recruiting well, but that is the game, I think, right now, is where is this season going to go, right? Is it going to be an exciting, are you competing for a CFP, or is this kind of the year away from the year season? That game will be the barometer, just as long as they take care of business before that, which, if we're being honest,
Cincinnati. Tone setter Cincinnati.
There's no guarantee that they're going to take care of business, if we're being honest, before that game.
All right, 154 days away. Maybe we'll find Tommy Hill by then. Tommy Hill, AWOL.
Yeah, no pro day. That was weird.
Didn't even show up.
Nope.
You know what? After he got injured, really didn't show up for Nebraska on the field either. I wonder if that had to do with how it ended, where they basically asked him to, you know what, why don't you go get ready for the NFL draft and we'll move on. Sorry that you got injured because you would be a major contributor. That was just an odd ending to Tommy Hill's career. His whole career in Nebraska was odd.
It peaked at that Colorado interception.
But they expected him to be at Pro Day yesterday and to run, which he did not at the Combine, and didn't make it to Lincoln.
Another guy that you're kind of, I don't know what his draft status is now. I mean, he was a dude where, some of the tape was there and some of the tape wasn't there, and he needed to have measurables.
The injury has not helped things, but
no,
that was an absence yesterday. All right, hour number 3 coming up next. How much gum do you guys think you swallow? Like last time you chewed gum,
I don't
and
chew
instead
gum.
of whatever you do with gum these days, or you swallowed it.
I don't chew gum.
I
Not a gum
believe
chewer.
about 89 or so, probably.
Really?
It's probably the last time I
89?
did it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That was little.
1989.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant
Yes.
like 89
Yes,
times.
I'm old.
In the
No,
last...
no, I'm old.
No,
Was
I
the
don't.
last time you chewed gum?
No, it's the last time I swallowed gum.
Oh, I think
chewed-
mine was last night.
Coming back from
How often do you swallow gum?
coming back
Well,
from games late at night, I would
there's-
chew gum to stay awake.
There's more likely. I'll tell you this, because I don't chew gum because it makes me dehydrated, and I don't like. That's my least favorite feeling ever. Feeling dehydrated. Okay, like if I ever feel like I have that panting in my mouth, I immediately sprint to the fridge and I get water. Okay, it's I don't know. It's like
Cotton
one of
mouth
my
will kill you.
one of my pet peeves. Right, I just don't like feeling dehydrated, and so I don't chew a lot of gum because gum, just for whatever reason, makes me get that feeling. Right, and I know that's pretty common. So I don't do that. Now, I will say this for a fact. I've more recently chewed gum to the point where it became like powdery.
That
and
is
I
weird
had
when
to
that
like
happens, yeah.
spit it out.
Did you get that piece of gum out of the back of a baseball card bag?
No, like it was a regularly, I think it was like a juicy fruit or whatever.
And
I
something
like,
happens and
well,
it disintegrates,
and
and,
it
you're
just
like, what
kind of
happened?
disintegrates and it just kind of seeps into your teeth and you're like, ugh, and you have to like spit it out. That's happened more recently than me swallowing gum. And also too, I know it's a wives' tale, but like the whole 7 years digest thing kind of freaks me out.
Okay, so my clock has restarted because I
Because
swallowed
it's
a lot of gum last night. I was at the ballpark and they have a bag of candy, and
How
so
much
they have
gum did you swallow?
They're probably 5 or 6 pieces.
What? Why do you swallow 6 pieces
Concession
What was I
of
going to
gum?
do with
prices
it? I'm
are-
not one of those people that put it underneath the table.
Put
I
it back
actually
in the
think-
wrapper.
No, I throw away the wrapper. I know you're supposed to do that, but that's
Yeah.
not me. You know what?
What do you mean that's not you? You're not
I can-
efficient? You're efficient.
I can swallow it. I'll text you later
There are-
what it looks like when I,
There are rules to the game. You keep
There
the
are
wrapper
people that do
around
that.
so you can spit it back. And then sometimes the pros take it back out of the wrapper and they put it back in their mouth.
you know what?
Wrap
The
it around a
non-pros
ball
used to
of
put
chew.
it in the bottom of your desk when you were in school. But I think they should do a medical study on me. I really do, surrounding gum. Because there has been this adage, and it's really a shame. And
Like
and,
watermelon seeds?
No, collecting baseball cards. You know, in the wax packs,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
they'd have the stick of gum.
Oh, are you saying that the wax packs gums might have boosted your immune system growing up?
Might have been, because what I would do
This is
is
interesting.
I was a huge baseball card collector when I was a little kid, but I would take the gum. Sometimes I would eat it, but then I'd throw it in a box in case I wanted some gum. So I had a box
Smart.
in my room of like all of the gum, and it was brittle and would break. So they always said that was terrible gum. You know what? That was a long time ago, and I'm still here. But I was thinking about this last night because I was chewing gum, and I'm like, you know what?
I'm
the only
hungry.
time I'm chewing gum is like at the ballpark, and I kept swallowing it. So, like, I probably am on the bad end of how to dispose gum is by swallowing it instead of doing what you said, and that's
you
what you're
have to
supposed
spit
do.
it back into the wrapper.
Yeah, but I'm not spitting stuff out of my mouth. I'm
You
not
didn't get a
spitter.
stomach ache? I feel like you get
I'm not
after
a
a couple
spitter.
of pieces.
I'm not a spitter.
You're
I'm a swallower.
Yeah. Well, funny
Very
enough.
well. Very nice. We're going to talk about Hawk Tua again.
That's
That
great
video
transition.
was
Seriously.
weird.
Hey, her name's Haley. All right.
Hey,
Haley
seriously.
Welch. Yeah.
Seriously. All right. Don't travel. All right. Just pound dribble.
No crab dribbles.
Let the defense come to you. You know, just read and react. I just think that's really, really, really,
You guys are disgusting.
really, really weird that you swallowed 6 pieces of gum.
Well, not all
At
at
a
the same
game.
time. So I separated. They only played 7 innings last
Was
night.
it
One
double
inning.
bubble? What type of gum were we talking about?
It was like little cheap gum. Little cheap gum. It
Chiclets?
wasn't like big gum. That wasn't like
it wasn't big. It wasn't big.
Wasn't like the chiclets
it
in
wasn't
big
Tijuana.
gum is after you. You
wasn't
don't want to
Hubba
get
Bubba.
into big gum. Big gum, it gets
But is-
real sketchy with big gum with the Five Below.
So
and
is
the
it
Trident?
Is it a fairy tale though that it takes 7 years to dissolve? Because I bet that thing's coming out later this afternoon.
Is gum
More
like
than
corn?
likely.
Gum's not like corn, right? Where
No,
you
you
just
talking about the
see.
band?
No,
Okay.
I'm
Oh, the
talking
food.
about the
All right,
food. You
John
just kind of
Walker's-
see it come out.
No, now you've lost me. I'm not.
I mean, that's
disgusting.
the same. What do you mean? You're asking if that thing just comes out. I don't
You
know.
don't know.
I'm not a doctor.
You don't
You're
know.
asking me for doctor
No.
advice. I'm not a doctor. I went to school for journalism.
All right, John Walker's coming up at 9. He went to school for journalism.
Journalism is a great horse,
His
by
buddy-
the way. He'll be in the Kentucky Derby.
His buddy Ben McCollum got his job at Iowa yesterday. Loved that he brought up Chris Street. For all of us that grew up in Iowa, that followed Iowa Hawkeye basketball, and I loved Iowa Hawkeye basketball in the days of Chris Street
They're good.
and Tom Davis. Oh gosh,
Bobby Hansen.
hey,
He was a
the '87 game in the Kingdom against UNLV. I cried. Okay, I cried. But Ben McCollum, who grew up as an Iowa fan and wanted the job, there's a fit there, man. He was, I don't know what your thoughts are on winning a press conference, but his ability to exude confidence and a clear message and address things that Iowa fans were ticked off about under Fran, man, he put on a clinic yesterday. But for Iowa fans, when he started talking about Chris Street, and Ben McCollum went to basketball camps, and I think Iowa put out a picture of him with Dr. Tom at a basketball camp. I'm like, Jesus, that is such a fit there. So John Walker, who followed Ben McCollum when he was at Northwest Missouri State, will be joining us coming up at 9 o'clock, and then Brandon Vogel as well.
He had all the right notes.
Yes, he did. So yesterday, a couple of things of yesterday. One, the result wasn't what you thought it would be, but great job by Kansas State and Nebraska baseball.
Yeah.
Last night, down in Manhattan. Two universities that meant so much to Greg Sharp.
Mm-hmm.
They honored Greg Sharp before the game last night, and he had his daughters. They had his daughters throw out the first pitch. It was really, really cool, and kudos to K-State for doing that, because some people might forget that that's where Greg started, and he was a Wildcat, and it wasn't like they said, hey, Greg, you got to go. The station he was working for lost the rights, kind of like the situation here, but he has always held K-State close to his heart, and we know what Nebraska meant to him. But so for K-State and Nebraska to get together to do that last night was really, really cool. And then the first inning happened. So Nebraska baseball lost last night 12-8. The person that is in charge of scheduling gets the biggest L for that game last night. They just came back from a West Coast trip. And they probably thought the West Coast trip would go better than 3 and 5.
By the way, too, not just like a West Coast trip where they were out there for like 3 or 4 days, where it was like 2 and a. They were out there for almost 2 weeks out on the West Coast.
They went to spring break in Southern California.
It was a long West Coast trip.
Well, so they get back, and they got back late Sunday night. They go to school the next day because spring break is over on campus, and then they have to bus to Manhattan. They were awful in the first inning. Okay, they had opportunities in the top half of the first. And I watched the beginning of this game, and then when it was 11-2, I'm like, Jesus, this ain't working. And then I did come back when they started to rally, because I thought strange things happened down in Manhattan with that ballpark. Yeah, but they make 3 errors in the bottom of the first. They're down 5-0. They had a terrible start. They were flat. It was 11-2 by the third inning when I pulled the ripcord. They're in trouble, and I know that we aren't even to April 1 yet. I'm telling you, Friday night at Haymarket Park is a huge night for if you're in or out on this season, because this is what's going to happen. It's great that Oregon State is coming to play a non-conference 3-game series in Lincoln. Rarity at the end of March, but because of Oregon State not being in a conference, so to speak, they have the ability to schedule like this. And so Nebraska and Oregon State got together. I think it's great. Oregon State, oh, by the way, happens to be a top 10 team and might be back in Nebraska in June. So the weather is going to be great on Friday night. It is now kind of baseball season. Basketball is over. Yeah. So you're starting to think about baseball, and then you look at how Nebraska's playing, and you're like, Jesus, this is frustrating. This would be a tough team to be a head coach of, because I have no idea from day to day what I'm going to get. I think I'm going to get my good midweek starter. Boom, he gives up 8 runs. Now, a lot of those were unearned. And then I'm like, our offense isn't very good. You know what? We got to score at least 4 runs. They score 4 runs, and they still lose a game. But Friday night, the weather is going to be great. It's Haymarket Park. It's Oregon State. You know they will have 6,000 or more. The berms will be packed. The place will be packed.
But 83 on Friday.
And if they are sloppy and woebegone at the plate, that is going to be a rough Friday night. And then people will go, well, you know what? Those Husker games are going to be awful fun in the end of April. Friday night's a big game.
Big gear sale.
For
the whole series
Nebraska.
Is a massive opportunity.
Well, but there's the optics of Friday night, the opener of a series. It's a night game. That'll be the first time probably people have been in Haymarket Park for the most part. You know, they've only played a couple of games at home. They'll be like, I want this. Let's go. Nebraska's back. Better play well on Friday night, because last night was a mess.
I'm not going to... I'm still on the verge of I'm not going to call them a bad team. Okay.
What would you call them?
I would call them struggling. struggling.
Very inconsistent.
Inconsistent.
There's too many consistent guys that are inconsistent. You know when you have consistent guys that are inconsistent, you have a mess.
Well, the thing though is, and Gary, you know this, like there's a difference between struggling in a certain part of the game and being a bad team, okay? Because you could struggle at the plate, right? But when you have a lot of these guys who are veterans who've been playing a while, there's almost like that hope of like, okay, what if they can turn it around? Like these guys, we've seen them hit before. We've seen them have success before. We've seen them turn it on and play good baseball, especially at the end of last year. We've seen them do it. So you're like not ready to calm a bad team. But what a bad team does is they find different ways to lose. They lose games in different ways, different times. And it's just indicative to you that, hey, nothing is right. Yesterday, because a lot of these games that they have lost, right? And it's baseball, so you have different novelties here and there. But for the most part, a lot of the reason they've lost these games is because their offense has been bad. Yesterday was a brand new way of losing, which was the defense was terrible. 3 errors, 8 unearned runs, right? First 2, like you can't. That's a different way of losing. That's a different concern. Now we go from being concerned about the offense to now we're concerned about the defense to now it's like, Carson Jasso is one of the better pitching spots so far this season in what he's done. Now he's struggling. Now he's lost confidence. Like you're teetering on the.
I don't know. He lost confidence. He had a bad outing, but you weren't banking on him giving up 8 runs yesterday.
But in general, it's just like when you lose a game like yesterday, that's when my meter starts to really go off. Not that it hadn't been going off earlier in the year, but yesterday was like, and it wasn't even about the fact that they lost. It was more about the fact that how they did it, and it was a new way of doing it.
Well, you can't lose many games. Like Nebraska struggles and so inconsistent offensively. Like Sanderson was really good yesterday. Cale Frost showed up yesterday.
They scored 8 runs yesterday.
Because the kind of the baseline has been if you don't score 4 runs, you're going to lose. But if you score 4 or more, you got a shot. They scored 8 in a game and still lost by 4. Friday's a big night for the optics. The whole series is big, and Nebraska just needs to find a way to get in their own conference tournament when they get back into conference play. But last night, that was an L for the person that scheduled and said, you know what, we're coming back from the West Coast. Yeah, let's go to K-State. And I know you got to fit them in where you can in the midweek. That was just poor scheduling to go there because they were flat from the jump. It was 11-2, and people were wandering back to Aggieville. And they're like, well, this was fun for a while. Now, on the other part of baseball in this town, I like Creighton's lineup 1 through 9. Watching them play for the first time last night, they're a veteran lineup, and Omaha's going through it as well. I mean, Omaha's struggling at the plate, and they got a big conference series this weekend. But in a ballpark that becomes a launching pad when the wind is blowing either out to left field or like it was last night out to right field, you got to be able to put up some points. They got shut out. I like this Creighton team. That's a veteran lineup, guys that have been here for a while. Then you have, one more for Ed factor. Keep an eye on Creighton. I know they go to Samford this weekend, so weird series. They go to Alabama to play.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the Big East is, I think Xavier's got the number 2 RPI, but there's only 2 teams that are above 500. The 1 through 9 for Creighton, I really, really like. So with that said, next week is the first Nebraska Creighton game, and you know what the declarations are in midweek if Creighton beats Nebraska. You know what that's like. We've done this experiment before.
Yeah. It won't be good at all, especially considering, last year that was a series that was a struggle for Nebraska, and then you had the whole... I
thought Nebraska had the midweek taken care of.
Yeah.
I thought we were rolling on the midweek. Wichita State. And then last night happened. So, man, it can't be good on the weekend, but we had the midweek. Now we got the midweek. We got the weekend.
It was funny last year. They were a great team, and they were losing in the midweek, and they lost those midweek games to Creighton, and people were still pissed about it. Now you're going to have a team that comes in ranked in the preseason, faltering the way that they're faltering, losing the games that they're losing games. And then, I'm sure it's going to piss a lot of people off that Creighton, who is considered to be this basketball school, right, is going to be hot.
Whoa.
Yeah. Creighton is a basketball school.
Whoa, I didn't know that was part of the conversation about playing Creighton in baseball.
Well, they're the optics of Creighton's a basketball school, and it's a big deal when Creighton beats us. It's not that big. That's their sport. When Creighton beats us in basketball, they're supposed to beat us in basketball, right? That's what they invest in. Where baseball, it's like, if you get beaten in a sport that's other than basketball, I feel like that resonates pretty negatively with Nebraska Cornhusker fans. It's going to be a real S storm if they get their butts whooped or play anything like they played yesterday, right? If you're tossing, throwing, and kicking the ball around the field against Creighton, it is not going to be fun at all for Will Bolt and that team.
The Fighting Bolts, get your blank together because
this is the weekend.
I can't handle Bishop next week. Okay?
This is the weekend. All right, if you're going to turn your season around, seriously, and it's a tough task. All right, Oregon State's a really good team. This is the weekend. I mean, number 5 team coming home. It's been a rough start to the season. If you grab 2 out of 3, you could at least inject some energy into the fan base, inject some energy into the clubhouse, and say, "Hey guys, we can actually do this." Remember when we beat Vanderbilt? Remember that?
Flaky Jake says college baseball season is over. I think probably today Josh will cancel Nebraska baseball, or will he wait until the weekend? Tune in between 10 and 2. Flaky Jake, we're on to MLB tomorrow. That's right, opening day tomorrow. Go Braves, he says. I say go Phillies. That's my World Series pick.
I like it. It's a good pick. I mean, it's not. I mean, this is it. This is it for the Phillies. I mean, I don't want to say this is it for the Phillies, but like the core has been there together for a little bit now. I mean, a lot of these guys are in their 30s. It's been the same lineup pretty consistently. It's go time. It's go time in the East, man.
All right, coming up at the top of the hour, John Walker will join us.
Love John Walker. John Walker's a guy. John Walker, and unfortunately, Bigelow and Walker, we couldn't get him into the Final Four in the very prestigious Michael Severe Best Radio Guest tournament. We failed him in that regard, but he doesn't fail us when we talk about Creighton basketball.
All right, Brandon Vogel will join us as well on 1620 The Zone. was the last time the Killers toured?
Well, no. I'm not the resident music expert on this show, as we have all come to find out.
What year is this?
I have no clue.
This song?
No. What
like,
year is this? This was 06 because my first radio job. This was high on the playlist on my other duties that I did there.
I mean,
This sounds like a 2006 song.
I mean, Mr. Brightside is played everywhere now,
Yeah.
but that's probably their most famous song.
Mhm.
They have a nice little catalog for
First two albums, phenomenal.
just as a group that came up on the streets of Las Vegas. I can't recall last time the Killers toured. They would be a perfect Steelhouse
Okay.
group to go
I do
play.
like
I don't know if they could fill the Chai, but they could.
Not anymore,
Like
but
seeing them at the
Steelhouse?
I'll
Steelhouse
tell you
would
something
be
right now. If you got a tour, if you did like a combined tour of all of those hot 2002 to like 2008 punk rock bands,
Mhm.
right? If you just combined, like you had Blink 182, you had Wheatus, you had the
I think
Killers,
that's called the Warped
you
Tour.
had Lincoln. No, but like they have that already where they put all these like 6-7 big band and they go from city to city.
I know. I went to the Ozfest in high school.
But not a fest. I'm talking about they went from like state to state and did it. Am I already
Did you?
describing something that has been going on for a while? Because I'm out of it in terms of punk rock. I
Oh,
just got into punk rock a
All
little
these,
bit.
So you were out, now you're in. What brought you into punk rock?
I
Yes.
got unhappy
Do
in
tell.
Chicago for a good like 3-4 weeks.
Did you
Just
say
a rough-
unhappy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't. I went through a little rough stretch, and I was around a lot of people who like to listen to punk rock. And
You
they're
said
like,
weeks or years?
No weeks. It was a couple. Like it was a rough. Like something bad was going on in my life, and like they were really into punk rock at the time, and it was just playing a lot around me. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of down. I'm down to clown. I'm down to like,
Down in a hole.
yeah, I'm
Which
down
is
to.
not
I'm,
grunge.
I'll
Or which
listen
is
to
grunge.
I'll listen to some of this stuff a little bit like that. And so here's my relationship with music. I come all comers.
Don't even start.
I take all comers. Okay, take all comers when it comes to music. All right, I will seriously. I will listen to everything. I listen to musicals. I listen to punk rock. I listen to rap. I listen to country. I listen to 70s.
Who is more likely to drop a punk album in the near future, Ozzy or Donnie?
Ooh, Donnie. I would totally listen to a Donnie Osmond punk rock album. I would love for him to put the eye black on and get the real nasally,
Eye
I'm
black?
Mr. Brightside. Can you do that? Can you give me your best punk rock?
I don't think that's a punk rock song.
No. That's
Mr. Brightside?
yeah.
Well, I was
There's
just
a lot
saying-
in
I was
there.
just saying. I was just saying.
There's a lot in
lyric.
there, and I killed
just
many
saying a
brain
lyric.
cells back when these songs were hits. So
Where
I gotta
are
go slowly
you?
here.
And I'm so sorry.
Is this Oasis?
I sang that song with a bunch of Nebraska football players at a certain. There's a video of me and actually all Big Ten honoree singing that song.
Was it after
Together.
the UCLA game?
No, the season was way over.
Hmm.
Way over. It's a great video. One of
I
my favorite videos. That and a backup quarterback. We did it together.
Well, this leg
Sing.
plays Jingle Bells. By the way, UConn, the SID shook hands and made up. So he apologized for his actions.
Yeah.
I have found Old Man Doug's favorite NCAA basketball team, and it is not the Creighton Blue Jays. I have found a place where
They wear
Doug-
short shorts and they don't pay their players and they don't shoot 3-pointers.
Doug can cheat on his college basketball team. So Doug's going to cheat on the Blue Jays because he doesn't like NIL. He likes loyalty. He likes guys that stick around. And I bet in his business there at Equitable Bank, which is a very fine bank,
Yeah,
they've
or
got
they take it personally.
they've got some guys and gals that have worked there for a long time. Here is Old Man Doug, his favorite basketball team that is still alive in the Sweet 16.
Oh, so we can watch them this weekend.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, you can watch them. You know what? You could even drive and go see them 13 hours away in Indianapolis. The Purdue Boilermakers.
Yes.
Now, he may also cheat on his Creighton Blue Jays because he likes people that stick around with somebody that is in the Big East. So Purdue is the only team without a transfer on their roster
Yes.
in the Sweet 16. Marquette is the only other major conference team without one. So Doug may be dropping his Creighton basketball, Nebraska football allegiance and going straight to the world of Matt Painter and Shaka Smart because they are what he would like in the world of college hoops.
How I sent you that tweet yesterday of the picture of all the different teams and all their starters and where they originally played.
I saw that. That was fun.
Basketball. How'd you do? How many teams were you able to identify? There were a couple, I'm being honest with you, got real sketchy. I'm like, I don't know. Is this Tennessee or is this Kentucky? Had no clue in some regards. It is a incredible graphic. I mean, not only are there multiple teams that are in the Sweet 16 that are on this, that are sprinkled throughout this list, there are also just multiple mid-majors who didn't even make the NCAA tournament, who also have guys who are starting for these teams who started playing there. It's an absolutely insane graphic. It is one of the crazier graphics I've seen.
Nebraska would start, Nebraska more than likely next year will start 5 that did not start in Lincoln.
Yeah. Unless Sam Hoiberg.
Creighton would have, if I'm thinking about their starting lineup, Creighton could have 3 of their 5 that actually started at Creighton.
Yeah.
I mean,
Green
hey, if love him to death, Sam Hoiberg is starting for Nebraska next year.
Sam Hoiberg, hey, I'll say
you're going to give me your tickets.
Sam's got his role.
I'm hoping college football for Nebraska lasts until February.
Hey, he was starting during their winning streak when he almost got into the NCAA tournament. But I know what you're saying. Sam's got his role. He's, 20 to 22 minutes off the bench. He gives you a spark plug. He plays really good defense. He swings the ball, hopefully to your shooter who will knock down a 3.
All right, let's play a ranking game here. You ready? Because tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow you're going to wake up, hopefully. And when you get up, you do what you got to do when you get up. But tomorrow is of the best 5 Thursdays in the sports calendar. Tomorrow is going to be in the running for one of the best Thursdays of the sports calendar. So lay
it on me.
There is Thanksgiving.
It's pretty good.
Okay, we got 3 NFL games now.
2 in the Cowboys.
We get a little bit of a college. There is the Thursday that is the opener of the NFL season. There is the Thursday that we just experienced last Thursday, the opening day of the NCAA tournament. There is the Thursday of the Masters. Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow, the Thursday that will come our way tomorrow will involve 28 Major League Baseball teams opening up their season. There'll be optimism. People will think they'll go 162-0. Yes. The Cubs can only go 160-2.
27 on the White Sox.
But still, 160-2 would be very, very impressive.
It'd be okay. It'd be fine.
That would mean that Matthew Boyd has gotten 2 years post Tommy John surgery. He's absolutely banging it. And Kyle Tucker's going to be the MVP. That's a pipe dream, but it can happen. It just
Ryan Presley turned
the Dodgers.
It's just never happened before. So you got 14 games on opening day, and then you've got 4 games in the Sweet 16. Tomorrow, on the Thursday of the sports calendar, may have found a spot near the top.
I would take last week's Thursday over everything. I think we established number 1.
I think that's definitely in the running for a top spot.
I think for me, done, dusted, 11, and the Friday after too is even better. But this last Thursday was pretty decent slate as well, even though it didn't totally deliver. Regardless, I would put the Thursday of the Masters last in terms of this ranking, and the reason why is I just can't put an events day ahead of other events like that when that's not even the best day of that event. You know what I'm saying? It's Sunday. Sunday's the best day. And I would even say Saturday is probably better than the Thursday because you're leading up to Sunday. But Thursday is always fun. Now we get to, I just don't think one Thursday night football game can compete with the massive slates and multiple games that are had. But I would put it over the Thursday of the Masters because I just think there's way more like, oh my God, we have a whole season ahead of us. Also,
it's a kickoff to the season.
It's a kickoff. And you get excited. And then you're also like, oh my God, we're a couple days away from Sunday. And on top of that, that Thursday night football game, at least in recent years, has been a banger. It's been one. I mean, they put together it's probably one of the better Thursday night football games you'll get all year.
The Ravens this past year.
People forget that the Lions beat the Chiefs 2 years ago. Kadarius Toney.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up.
I knew I was setting off a fuse there.
To win, you've got to lose.
Yeah. You needed that loss. You needed that loss to know what losing tasted like. Wouldn't you say?
Jimmy, did I just drop an Outrunner reference?
I believe you did.
Hey, to win, you have to lose.
They're your friends.
Thank you. Continue on.
They are your friends.
To get to game 7, you got to play 6
Are you a truth
first.
or a turbo guy?
What's the fanny pack guy?
I think that's Truth Magnum.
So Scott?
I'll say that was me in
I
first
don't-
grade.
Hey, we're in kayfabe. All right, we're always in kayfabe. This is a kayfabe show. All right.
Dude, he came to the send-off last week. He's funny. He's a really
He's
nice
awesome.
guy. Man, they love their involvement with Omaha basketball. But just so he flips the switch from going to talk to the players and then he's standing with us just talking like as a normal human.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is like fascinating.
Those
I mean,
guys.
it's so cool. And Connor had him on. And
Let me tell you something right now. Those dudes, if they were back in the 80s and 90s, they would have been.
They'd be old now.
They are the youngest men alive. They would have been hot. They would have been challenging Giannetti and Michaels for tag team titles if they were back then. When they did that vignette about you can't count on how many fingers and toes, and then I think it was Turbo in the background doing the actual count. Oh my God, it was straight out of Savage. All right, Thursday Night Football. So now we're here, right? Do you do Thanksgiving, or is it tomorrow? I think that's the real toss.
well, maybe tomorrow is a little bit
I would
rare
take-
because of Major
it
League
is.
Baseball falling on
We
this
don't
day.
always do it on
No.
Thursday.
I'm gonna
That's
be
why
honest with
that's
you.
kind of what I
and
think.
you know, I mean, even
Like
though
I smell what you're cooking.
even
It's
though we apparently are opposed to having domestic opening days,
in Cincinnati.
Thanksgiving has to be in the 1 or 2 spot.
I have it
because you
in-
get 3 NFL games, you get food, you get family, you get friends.
But here's the thing:
you get a nap.
I'm cooking the
you
food
get
on Thanksgiving.
tryptophan.
Okay, I'm the main chef.
What
I'm the
time
head
am I
chef.
coming over?
Okay, so I cook a lot. So for me personally, I'll take tomorrow over Thanksgiving
Okay.
just because I'm sitting back, I'm relaxing. I'll probably crack open a nice Miller Lite at some point and be like and enjoy all the baseball and all
Shout out
the
Miller
basketball
Lite.
I get to have. During Thanksgiving, I'm running around like the chicken with the chicken with my head cut off.
Use
Right
a
now,
coaster.
I'm basting the turkey. I'm making sure the green bean casserole didn't burn. Making sure all the other meat is fine. The Cubans like their steaks one way. The Irish like their steaks the other way. I'm running back and forth between the rooms trying to check what the score is. I can't really watch the game. I'll take tomorrow. But I think in
Okay.
generality, in general, I think tomorrow's slate is better. But the memories of Thanksgiving probably supersede what the slate is.
Am I missing any great Thursday on the sports calendar and outside of the 5 that I mentioned?
Thursday in the sports calendar. I would have to think about that.
Well, we no longer have banger college football games on Thursday.
Well,
so
I
that's
was going to
out.
say, is the if the first game of the year was on a Thursday for college football?
Depending on what type of game it is. Like
Yeah.
at least with the NFL, you have the defending Super Bowl champion, and they usually make it like
Good
a
matchup.
big,
Yeah.
good matchup.
If it's Minnesota, Nebraska, probably not.
Mm.
Thursday, I'm trying to think of other. I mean, would you do? Is a Thursday of any other champion, like golf championship, resonates anything
There's very
towards
few
that?
sports that open on a Thursday.
Yeah.
The NBA
Like,
playoffs
the-
used to, but not anymore.
Yeah, the NBA, when they open on a Saturday,
Yeah.
the NBA regular season starts on a Tuesday. So does hockey or Tuesday or Wednesday.
I can't think of
College
a Thursday
basketball starts on a
specific-
Monday.
No, I can't think of like
Hmm.
a Thursday specific sporting event off the top of my head.
All right. Tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is the day for y'all, and we'll be right there with you. All right, we'll be right back. John Walker, top of the hour. Lots of the stuff to discuss. And this idea that Creighton has done. They're going to fold up the program. All that revenue sharing money.
Hell of a run. Hell of a run.
Kirsten Bernthal Booth and Jim Flannery are going to be swimming in cash now that I guess basketball's over on the Hilltop.
It's burned to the ground.
Max joining the zone.
We didn't make the Sweet 16. It's all failure.
It's going to suck for Kalkbrenner. They want to retire his number. They're just going to put it up in a building that's going to be empty because they've just
Visitor center.
They'll actually put it up backwards.
Ryan Kalkbrenner ended.
Pull a Terrence Shannon Jr.
Ryan Kalkbrenner, according to the social media vibes, ended Creighton basketball. I don't know if I'd want that to be my legacy. John will
It's a
join us coming
black
up at
stain.
9. Brandon Vogel in about an hour as well on 1620 The Zone. All right, I must have been out of town almost 2 years ago in May because the Killers did play at the Steelhouse. As a
Right.
matter of fact, they opened up the Steelhouse.
That's what I thought.
Ed goes, I'm going to just read this quick email in the Equitable Bank inbox.
The way you're laughing, I have a feeling it's a pretty damn good one.
So after I said that, because they're used to, 20,000 seat arenas, and I just was putting Steelhouse, that venue, which I'm a big fan of, like would be perfect, like a smaller version. Was I in a coma? Like it was.
I don't know.
I was
So
like, I know this was my first
You're
year.
pretty
opened
sharp
up in-
about that stuff.
Steelhouse opened in May. Steelhouse has been open almost 2 years. So Ed writes in. He goes, let me tell you about the night that I had at Steelhouse when they opened in May. And yes, the Killers were the opening act. Tickets sold out quickly. I'm a big fan of the Killers. I actually saw them in Las Vegas in their home. And so I jumped on tickets right away. I stood in line outside of Steelhouse to get in because I wanted to be one of the first ones. And it was well worth even my $13 wheat beer.
Checks out. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I
don't.
Yeah.
Do you partake in a wheat? Do you guys like wheat beer?
I'm okay with wheat beer. Boulevard wheat.
Boulevard wheat. I had a Boulevard wheat for the first time over the weekend. Sponsored with the beer of the Kansas City Royals, if I'm not mistaken. It tastes
We'll be back with the
pretty good-
totals right
pretty good-
after this.
Pretty good tour in Kansas City.
tastes like 83 and 79 Boulevard wheat.
And
Wow.
my experience
Connor's
at
gonna come
Steelhouse.
fight you.
My experience at Steelhouse, pretty easy to get a beverage. He continues on. He said the show was amazing. The place was packed. Of course, there were some opening night hiccups, but the Killers were fantastic. They even brought their own confetti cannon. I had a great time. I would highly recommend if you get to see
NRG
again,
Lounge.
them again.
Mhm.
The only thing that I had, the person next to me kept asking, when are they going to play Mr. Brightside?
Oh, so that's the new Freebird. Okay.
So when they played Mr. Brightside,
It's a new Mo Bamba.
they had confetti. Yes. No.
This is a really interesting
Mr.
note. They brought their own confetti.
Party
Well,
City
yeah,
just
it's a
went out
big
of business.
production.
So I've said this before.
It's a
Mr. Brightside has
it's your greatest
replaced
statement.
Sweet Caroline.
It's your greatest statement. It is by far
Yeah.
your greatest statement because I went and visited a lot of colleges when I was in college. It was a big deal to me that I wanted to go to all the different places that my friends were going to, and so I maximized my
We did the same in the
opportunity
Big 12
to
cover stuff.
yeah, to just go here. Hey, I'll stay here for this week. Hey, I'm coming this weekend, right? Every college I went to, when we went out to a bar, Mr. Brightside at one point played. Everybody sung, and there was a different F blank, like in between that little, bridge version of
It's
it.
like Sandstorm in Manhattan.
Everybody had a different, team they wanted to hate, and I just thought it was that. I was like, wow, this is the bar song, and then I didn't really think they're not playing Sweet Caroline anymore at these bars. No one's hand touching hand, reaching out, touching you, touching me. Sweet Caroline. No one's doing that. All right. It's not the Mr. Brightside is like the degenerate version of Sweet Caroline. Right. You can really get you got to be in a kind of a decent mood, like a softer
I'm out.
mood. Right. You got to be like oh my God, I love you so much, Gary. Sweet Caroline. Dun,
Jesus,
dun,
Jimmy.
dun. But when you've had a little alcohol in you, that's, Mr. Brightside's just drunk Sweet Caroline. Is that not I'm sorry.
So
I
I'm
don't think
processing.
I-
Sorry,
I-
the hamster's
I
turning
think
the
you
wheel
have to
there.
include the drunk part.
I think it's
you're saying.
drunk.
Are you saying BYU fans don't like Mr. Brightside?
I don't know. What would I don't think Liberty fans would like Mr. Brightside.
Exactly. Not everybody
Either. I don't think
drinks.
Oral Roberts fans would like Mr. Brightside either too. Here's the thing.
No. Hey, hold on. ORU is a little bit different from BYU.
Okay, fair.
Okay, just the religious affiliation, just a little bit different.
Little bit.
Just saying,
Okay.
just saying in terms of strictness, but just
Man,
overall.
Max Asmus.
Overall, if BYU singing Mr. Brightside, who are they saying F blank? F you? Because
All
of
right.
Utah?
On that note,
I'm saying
It was a
dive
banger
here.
concert.
It's
We
a
had
deep
people
dive.
from work that went, and they said it was fun. So yeah, I do remember that.
I know that
I wish I could have gone.
I know that some people were opposed to building the Steelhouse. We have way too many venues in this town, but we're kind of lucky enough in a town of 1 million people, which
People forget.
I think they should be putting
Well,
on the signs.
You
that we have
can
1 million
you can
people.
tell by on I-80 how there's 1 million people out there. You can tell on the highway on the freeways that there's 1 million people apparently. Do you remember that?
No.
You brought that up, how like a radio lady was like, I could tell that there are 1 million people in town with how many people are on the freeway.
Didn't Atlanta have that population marquee?
Damn
That's
wrestling
what we
crowd
need.
in February going the wrong way downtown.
Hey, don't get on a wrestling crowd. Wrestling crowd's a great crowd.
Stick to driving on one-way streets down in Crime Town. All right, this is Swim Town. All right, we adjust. Okay, they might take away the swim trials, but we adjust here. They haven't taken away the crime in Lincoln. All right,
read and react. We're a read and react town.
All right. Thank God Ty Robinson is recruiting people to Nebraska.
There's nothing else could get him there.
So I need to reach out. I have a question here. Is Jordy Ball pitching today? So Nebraska softball is in town. I think this is great because Nebraska softball is having a great year. They just hit home runs. You know what? Chicks and guys like the dingers. And that's what you do with Nebraska softball this year. They're just hitting home runs all over the place. And then you got Jordy Ball. So they play at Omaha today. The thing is sold out. It's a great, I love the venue. I love Mike Hurd, the head coach for Omaha. He's got a great program. They had a little bit of a hiccup over the weekend against St. Thomas, but St. Thomas is pretty good. But today's like a big day. They're sold out. There's going to be 2,600 people. They're going to be in there like sardines. There's going to be standing room only. There's going to be people sitting. There's going to be the freeloaders that sit up on the hill by the apartments to watch softball and baseball without paying the freight. Okay? Going to be a cool day. I want to know if Jordy Ball's pitching today. Because why I bring this up, I was making a list. There are, when Jordy Ball pitches, now that she's at Nebraska, and now that Nebraska is playing home games at Bowling, when she goes to the bullpen to warm up, people line up to watch her. And I have not seen that since Shane Comine pitched at Nebraska in baseball.
That's big.
When people would line up around. Yeah. Now, you had more access to it when they moved to Haymarket for his last year compared to when they were at Buck Belcher.
But still.
But people would hang over the bullpen and watch Comine warm up. It's become the same thing with Jordy Ball. So I was trying to think, and you know, it's a midweek. They play Purdue on the weekend. I don't know if she'll pitch tonight. It'd be great back in her hometown. But I was thinking of athletes. Take football out of the equation. Like our local athletes that you went to a specific event specifically because of them. We do this with our pro athletes. Like if Ohtani or Skeens are pitching in Kansas City, I don't care what time of the day it is. I'm going down there to watch them. Now,
Sure.
I'll go to watch Ohtani do anything. But if Skeens is pitching in Kansas City or even up at Target Field, I'm going no matter what. But Comine, Jordy Ball, Doug McDermott is one. I will give you kind of an obscure one because I still don't think he gets enough credit for his brief career at Omaha, Tradeon Hollins. Other athletes through our state schools that you went to an event specifically to see them. Take out football because we could make a list and we'd be here until unsportsmanlike conduct started at 2. But I just threw out Comine, Jordy Ball, Doug McDermott, Tradeon Hollins are 4 that came to my mind right away. Maybe Jordan Burroughs when he was wrestling at Nebraska back in 2011.
I don't think he's there, but at the peak of K-Say mania.
Yeah, I would throw him in. Yes,
I would
great.
Yeah.
People went to watch K-Say
I went
play.
to the opening night to watch K-Say do a 3-point contest. Like I just wanted to see the guy shoot threes. Like, and it did he did kind of go through a little bit of like a rougher stretch where he wasn't playing his best, but like at the peak, especially at like the year before they made the tournament, and he was making those threes and he was bursting onto the scene. You had to go. You had to watch K-Say play. Now
this is probably also adds into the celebrity status, like real legitimate celebrities.
So that's the thing with K-Say.
Like
I would see K-Say out.
Celebrity.
I would see K-Say out and about, because he was a college student. I was a college student at the same time, and there were crowds. Like there were some basketball players who I would see and I would talk to, and they would be very much low key. I think people knew they were taller, so people knew who they were, but they didn't really get bothered. K-Say would get bothered. K-Say would get haggled a little bit. And I'm going to be honest with you, he had a great time doing it. Like he was always had a smile on his face, really enjoying it.
Because most of the kids asking for autographs were taller than him.
Jordy for sure was up there.
Dave mentions Jordan Larson.
I'll tell you this right now. It's a duo, but when Max Anderson and Bryce Matthews both made the All-American team, and I know that team didn't make the NCAA tournament, but they were red hot, especially in April and May. I wanted, when they were playing, I wanted to go out there and see those two hit, especially when they were, top of the lineup, real close. Like, I wanted to watch those two. Now, I don't think those guys had the same pull in terms of, oh my God, we got to go and watch them. But when they were killing it, like, to see both those guys together, that was cool. Those are the three that I think of.
So, Colin writes in, now I remember this good basketball family, CJ Cowgill from Grand Island Central Catholic. Very odd shooting touch, but was a bucket getter, unlimited range.
I'll tell you one time
By the way, what the hell's going on at GI Senior High? They got coaches leaving.
Oh yeah,
right
I saw
left.
that.
Hello. They didn't play girls basketball this year. What the heck? Let's get Verz out there.
Why not?
Verz needs to go back and save his alma mater.
One niche guy that I bought a ticket to, college basketball player, to watch him play, because I was like, I got to see this guy play, was Melo Trimble. I don't know I don't know if he had that. I wonder what people in Maryland thought about Melo and if he had that buying power over there. But Northwestern was really, really good that season, and Maryland was really good that season. I saw him play on TV. I go, I have to see Melo Trimble play, and he dropped 30 at Northwestern. It was awesome. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But Casey, Bryce, and Max are kind of the three that I think of. There's like, for Nebraska, those were the guys that I wanted to go and see play.
Mayor Mike from Gretna, home of Gretna High and Gretna East, and a lot of development out there.
Fantastic Hy-Vee.
What are we doing with the Good Life District? Let's go, boys. Let's get that going. Some people have some vested interest in that. He says Shannon Pluhowski, who, if you know, but the sport that she is from, her former head coach is banned on the show because he won a national championship and then blew us off in Coach Straub. She was a bowler.
Are we forgetting volleyball? Because volleyball is just the team.
I mentioned Jordan Larson.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think Harper's there?
Harper is probably there. I think as a group, like, people go because there's so many. Like, sometimes the individual stands out on a bad team or like a really, really good team, and they're head and shoulders above everybody else. But Harper would be that one, like legit celebrities, like Kalkbrenner. Maybe because of Kalkbrenner's size, and he wasn't like, oh, he's just not a 3-point shooter, but he is a guy that you went and like you wanted, like you would be bummed, like if Creighton was load managing and you went to see Creighton Seton Hall
he wasn't playing,
and
you'd be like, damn it,
you would be pissed.
Yeah. Also too, if you were like you didn't see Creighton play a lot of basketball, Stephen Ashworth is a very lovable guy. To like, just if you're a Creighton fan, to watch him play and like, his size and the way he plays and how he shoots 3-pointers. I think he's another guy too, where if you went and you wanted to see Creighton play in your hometown and Stephen Ashworth wasn't playing, you'd be like, damn, I wanted to see that guy run around all over the court and hit threes.
Another suggestion, Darren Erstad.
Yeah.
But I will push back on that because I was doing the games when Darren was playing baseball at Nebraska, and it was me, you, and Dupree that were watching the games at Old Buck Belcher. Darren Erstad came out to warm up with the special teams in his year of playing football at Nebraska, and there were more people watching him than watched his baseball career at Nebraska. It is. We're a football school.
We're a football school. But it is, I think we, at least, I don't know, I don't want to speak on like what Nebraska athletics has developed into, but from my time here and my time at the school, I've always said, if you build it, they will come. If you just win, people will go. If you
win,
is
the equivalent of Kevin Costner at Nebraska?
It's whoever the athletic director is. It's a revolving door of Kevin Costner's.
That athletic director loves red, and he loves fans. He likes suggestions.
That'd be one hell of a movie. Revolving door of Kevin Costner's. I'd watch that. If it was just Kevin Costner in a different costume,
would it have like would it be like Waterworld?
Would it have like a Severance ending where you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Well, I think it would be like just a movie of Kevin Costner and all his different characters.
Told you.
Can you imagine if the Yellowstone Kevin Costner met up with the Draft Day Kevin Costner, who then had to talk to?
That'd be pretty good.
Like, yeah, I think they kind of did that movie with Nicolas Cage a little bit.
Thank you, Dan, for chiming in on this. This is true. I was not living here, but people talk about it. When Greg Olson was pitching at Northwest High for his dad, Bill, Greg Olson was, God, we had the high school athletes in the 90s in this town, boys and girls, regardless of sport. We were on a stretch, but Greg Olson pitching for his dad at Northwest High, I've heard a lot of people that went out of their way to go watch him pitch, and they were bummed when they'd show up either over at Northwest or if they were on the road. And that was a day that Greg wasn't pitching. That's a good call. Thanks, Dan, for that email.
Did you say Gordon? Alex
Somebody
Gordon?
mentioned
Yeah.
Gordon. Mike Channel 6 mentions Jabba, who, by the way, a lot of people know his father, Harlan, who I got to know when Jabba was a ball boy under Rick Kalura at Lincoln Northeast, and Mr. Chamberlain would be in his Rascal, and he would be helping out. So got to know him, and then, of course, Jabba, his time at Northeast, and then he goes out to Kearney, and Rob Childers says, why are you at Kearney? Why aren't you at Nebraska? Comes to Nebraska, and the rest is history. Harlan passed away recently. But Jabba Chamberlain was another guy that, because of his unique body and his story, that I think people did go out of their way on Friday nights to watch him pitch at Nebraska.
I know he doesn't qualify. He does not qualify. He's not on the same level as these guys that you're talking about, these guys and girls that you're talking about. But just for me personally, I always enjoyed watching Bryce McGowan's play. And, you know, the buildings weren't as full as what they are now when he was playing. And so it was kind of more of an intimate environment. But it was always interesting to me to watch Bryce play, knowing, hey, that guy is going to play in the NBA. And this is what it really does look like with your own two eyes. Watching an NBA player play with a bunch of college kids, you know, obviously didn't stay long enough and they didn't nearly win enough for him to, you know, build a legacy or anything like that. But that was always a guy that I went to a lot of those basketball games when he played, and it was just, the team wasn't great. So you just always kind of watched him. I was just caught myself watching him doing anything because I wanted to see how he operated. I was just a little tidbit, but I've always thought that was interesting with Bryce.
What if he would have stayed for another year?
I know.
You know what is crazy? He still wasn't the most popular player on that team.
No.
I look at that roster. By the way, there's a couple of guys on that roster that are in the transfer portal that went elsewhere from Nebraska.
Yeah.
All right. John Walker kicks off the last hour on a Wednesday on 1620 The Zone. Wow, Sandin from Arizona State, who is the guard, the former 5-star recruit, who was supposed to play in the Crown, but decided, you know what, I can probably get paid more at my next school, is going to transfer to St. John's. So the portal is open. It stops for no one, including Creighton, as John Walker has documented over the last couple of days. From the World Herald, he joins us now. Good morning,
John.
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Good. Hey, why did you throw the water bottle in disgust on Thursday
what
at
is
Rupp
wrong
Arena?
with you?
Okay, so I was actually.
Are you coming clean?
Yeah. Are you admitting to what we already know?
Nope. Won't incriminate myself. But thankfully, the media seating, or at least some of the media seating for the tournament, is courtside, and so I was sitting like directly across the court from Creighton's bench.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like full view of the water bottle incident, I think is what I coined it. And it was genuinely like a thunk. Like you heard it smack the floor. And it was incredible.
What was the job like from the guys on the floor cleaning it up? What would you rate their effort out of 10 to make sure the game continued?
Well, there's like a qualm there because all of the Creighton dudes were cleaning it up when it wasn't a Creighton fan who threw the darn water bottle. And so like, why didn't Louisville, why didn't Louisville's people come over and help clean the thing up? That I don't know. But for the second time in less than a week, John McHugh saved the day because he was the get back guy when Jemiah Neal threw down the dunk against UConn, and then he grabbed a couple of towels and wiped away when the water bottle hit the floor last week.
Let's go back here. What if I would have? We wake up on December 7th, and Creighton has just come off a win against Kansas, and you get the news that Pop Isaacs is out. Win against UNLV, but lose to Alabama and Georgetown. Maybe I fast forward. It's the morning of December 19th. It's a Thursday, so you were on with us the day before, but it's a 24-point loss to Georgetown. There is no Pop Isaacs. You're trying to figure things out. You go from that moment. What if I would have told you on December 19th, hey, Mac's going to max out this roster. McAndrew's going to shoot better in March. They're going to find their way. Fedora's going to become eligible. This team will probably make it to the second round of the NCAA tournament. At that time, what would you have said? And now that you look back, how do you judge the type of success of this season with everything between that Georgetown game and Saturday against Auburn?
Yeah, I would have laughed on December 19th or whatever it was. I just would have laughed. Because at that point, they didn't really, like, other than that Kansas game, they had not done well in non-con. And then they lose Pop Isaacs, and then they go to Alabama and hang with the Tide, but obviously lose that game. And then you have the embarrassing loss at Georgetown. And you're like, oh, boy.
Yeah.
And so I would have laughed if you had told me everything that came after. And I think Greg McDermott said at different points of the season that he wouldn't have believed it either. It would have been really hard to, obviously. But, to their credit, we knew that Stephen Ashworth and Ryan Kalkbrenner were going to buoy this team through, the strongest of tides. And they certainly did that. And then, as the season went along, as expected, Jemiah Neal settled in, and Jackson McAndrew settled in, and he was on a way different timeline than everyone else, but eventually Fedor Zugic carved out his role off the bench. And so you had all of these guys who knew that Creighton's success, in short, depended on them. Because we knew what Ryan Kalkbrenner and Stephen Ashworth were going to give us. To those guys' credit, they really stepped up at different points. Jason Green had the career night in the Big East tournament. Jemiah Neal had a career night in the first round against Louisville. Jackson McAndrew was really, really, really good between the Big East tournament final in both NCAA tournament games. So you had all these different guys stepping up at different times. And, I said in November, I remember vividly being in Vegas for the Players Era Festival, and Creighton had the day off. And I can't remember who I watched Auburn play, but I said, that's the best team in the country. Like positively, absolutely. That's the best team in the country. And Creighton hung with that for 30 minutes, and it was too much in the end.
Hey, I know that we have, Creighton has transfer portal targets and to get to and everything like that. And we'll talk about that with you in a second. But just right now, as the roster stands, fill in the blank. The future is blank for Creighton basketball.
Oh, it's Jackson McAndrew. I think you could ask 100 people that and you'll get the same answer 95 times.
Yeah.
I really do. They're going to need offense to come from somewhere, right? And they're going to go get a center, and they're going to go get a point guard, et cetera, like duh.
Yeah.
They have to, but they're going to need the scoring to come from somewhere. And it's going to take a couple of months into next season for whoever coming in to fully pick up the system, to settle in. We saw that with Stephen Ashworth. We saw that with Jemiah Neal this year. We'll see that with insert transfer next year. So someone, much like Ryan Kalkbrenner and Stephen Ashworth, had to get Creighton through the first few weeks of this season, someone is going to have to get Creighton through the early part of next season. And I think that'll be Jackson McAndrew. I think he's probably going to dedicate this off season to transforming his body.
Yeah.
We saw Baylor's transformation from year 1 to year 2 in the system. Ryan Kalkbrenner had a full off season last year, dedicated himself to the gym and changed his body composition. And I wouldn't be shocked if Jackson McAndrew does the same. He's a lot more versatile than his role maybe called for in the offense this year. But he's got a little bit of an offensive bag. He's a guy you could play through for sure.
There's the other part. Not only do you have to fill some holes on the roster, and I have no reservations that Creighton will be smart when they get into the portal, because they have made calls on guys that they backed off of. Mahaney is one of those guys. So I don't have any concern about them putting together a roster. No, by the way, they're bringing a top 50 recruit onto campus as well. But there's the other part of what Mac has to do, and his coaching tree has a lot of limbs to it. Ryan Miller leaves to go to Murray State. That leaves an opening, and Ryan Miller was a recruiting guy. He was a relationship guy. I mean, if you ever saw him at Let It Fly, he was holding court with everybody. Where do you think that Mac turns to replace that spot on his staff? Because he's been able to, as guys have left, John, to go get head coaching jobs, he's been able to not necessarily find the next guy that's destined to be a head coach, but he's found the right guy for what Creighton needs. What kind of an assistant do you think he goes after to fill that role?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Miller's calling card was as a recruiter. But he was at Creighton for 4 seasons. His first 2 years, he was essentially the middle linebacker of Greg McDermott's defense. Like he put together the defensive plans. And last year and this season, he was the quarterback. He did the offensive plan. Okay. So they're losing a hell of a recruiter, no doubt. But they're losing more than that too. So you're going to have to go get somebody who can fill those shoes, who can be a phenomenal recruiter and know the X's and O's. So they're going to look for somebody well-rounded, I would think. It can't be someone who's just a recruiter. It can't be somebody who's just X's and O's, because really in today's era, like everyone has to be able to do a little bit of everything. So, for now, until they kind of fill that void, it's, they're just kind of all aboard, and everyone hop on the recruiting bus and here we go.
Hey, what Creighton is going to go through with losing Ryan Kalkbrenner, who is a massive, was the massive part of their defense, is already something we're seeing in Purdue, right? Zach Edey, who was a massive part of their defense, he leaves, and now we see with Purdue this year, they've struggled in the interior on defense. They are one of the worst interior defenses in the country. How do you think that this Creighton Blue Jay team and Coach Greg McDermott avoid what happened to Purdue happening to them?
Well, I truthfully, guys, like if I look at the two people that they are most interested in terms of bigs in the portal, like Owen Freeman, he was on campus yesterday.
Yeah.
I'd say he's the priority target at the moment. Because if you can get a guy like that on campus, you try your darndest to not let him leave, right?
Absolutely.
So he's 6'10", 230. That's not Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Yeah.
That's nowhere close to Ryan Kalkbrenner around the rim. So in that situation, you would kind of have to accept that your rim protection would not be anywhere close to the same. And that's kind of what I wrote a little bit about yesterday, guys, is who they get to as Ryan Kalkbrenner's replacement kind of determines what you do with the rest of the roster. Like,
yeah,
you go get another rim protector. You go get a stretch five that would obviously change your defense, but also add, something to your offense that Ryan Kalkbrenner didn't. Is that a 1-year guy? Is it someone to build on over the next couple of years? Because then you kind of know, one, what kind of point guard you need to go out and get. And then here's the underrated part, guys, is you have to go get a perimeter defender, no matter who the center is, but especially if it's an undersized guy. Because Creighton's defense has been able to gamble on the perimeter.
Yep.
Because they say, we'll funnel them into the 7-footer. Well, there's no 7-footer back there anymore. So Jason Green, he held his own with like Dixon and Jones and Caravan this year. But he can't be the only guy defending the perimeter, because the fact of the matter is teams nowadays have more than one scoring threat out there. And Creighton has to have somebody to take those guys away too. But it all, long meandering way to say, it all circles back to who's the man in the middle.
Some will say who's the man in the arena, but I'm absolutely right there with you. As we look at the portal going through, and Joe Tipton should just say everybody is in the portal, and that would save him a lot of time. There will be somebody that got a win, as he was announced as the head coach yesterday, in the portal, because he's bringing his point guard from Northwest Missouri State to Drake to Iowa. We've talked about it because you know him, because you covered him at Northwest Missouri State. John, I'm watching Ben McCollum yesterday, and he's wearing the gold tie, and he's talking about, he is rattling off Iowa players right and left, not recent guys, but back in the day when he was going to camp there. Did you know? I mean, you knew his connection because he's from Iowa City, but did you know that, like, deep down inside, that's the job that he always wanted, was to be the head coach at Iowa? Because he certainly gave that impression yesterday.
Yeah, no, he always wanted to go home, like always wanted to go home. And funny enough, I talked to him about that. My last interview with him, my senior year, I covered him for 4 years at that point. And we got done put my phone away. I said, Matt, can I ask you question off the record? And he said, yeah. And we just got to talking for like 30 minutes.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of like what the conversation was. He was like, I haven't left this place because I have not found anywhere that makes me feel like home. Like, this feels like home. And that's what I want from a place. And I said, okay, well, where would your dream home be? And he said, back home. I said, okay. So, he's obviously, he talked about it at length yesterday. This has been a dream for him. I don't think he ever thought the stars would align to where, one, this position would come open when it did, and two, he would be the leading candidate for it, or at least be the guy who got hired, So no, he's phenomenal. I mean, I immediately think if he has had so much success where he has been, with the talent that he has had, and you give him all of these resources to go get better talent, watch out. Like that guy's gonna do some things.
So
certainly.
So this is what I was going to ask you about, because it kind of turns into like a Nebraska Cornhusker conversation, because he's coaching Iowa, and Iowa's a big rival and all that stuff. It was an interesting thing he said about Drake yesterday. He was like, well, we played the pace we played at because we couldn't get good enough shots quicker. Like, we weren't a very talented shooting team. When he was coaching at Northwest Missouri State, he had some shooters. So I want to ask you, as someone who wrote about the team and watched those teams, how scary were those offenses when he actually did have the shooters and they were actually playing at a medium type pace?
Dude, they were unreal. Like, they're like there's no way for me to shy away from that or beat around the bush or anything. No, it was unreal, because as he also said yesterday, no matter what, we're always going to play defense.
Yes, I love that.
And so they did that. Like, that's never changed, ever, ever, ever. Like, one of the people thinks Bennett Sturts. Bennett Sturts is really, really, really good. Okay. He had a point guard at Northwest Missouri State who would drop your jaw every single game, and his name was Trevor Hudgens. And as good as Trevor Hudgens was, coming out of high school, even, Ben McCollum did not offer until he saw Trevor Hudgens drop down in a defensive stance during an AAU game.
Wow.
So, like, they're going to play defense. Okay. We know that. But boy, they would play a 5-out, and there was nothing you could do about it. Like, there was absolutely nothing. I would implore and encourage anyone curious to see what a full force Ben McCollum offense looks like to either go look at the 2018-19 team, because that was really, I mean, they had so many pieces on that team, or you could go look at the 2020-2021 team. That was Ryan Hawkins last year, before he transferred to Creighton, and that was just a doozy too. So no, their offense will be really fun.
Hey, we'll get you out on this because there is the coaching carousel, and Villanova is still open, but Xavier has filled their role. And when Sean Miller was in the league, you made a case that 5 coaches were in the top 20 of the best coaches in college basketball. So they go from Sean Miller going to Texas, and they hire Richard Pitino last night. And we know that Fox has already claimed the 2 Xavier St. John's games that'll be on Big Fox. But what are your thoughts in this league where it's a big boy coaching league, the hire that Xavier made, and why is Villanova, whether it's Kevin Willard or whoever, why do you think that job has taken a little bit longer?
Yeah, I'll start with the second one to just get it out of the way. It seems like it's going to be Kevin Willard, right? Like, it kind of feels like all signs have pointed to that now, especially with Villanova taking its time. Like, my schema would tell me that they are just waiting for Maryland's NCAA tournament run to be over.
Great work.
And that'd be a heck of a hire for Villanova. It'd be a heck of a hire for the Big East. But the Big East also made a heck of a hire yesterday when Xavier got Richard Pitino. Like, his name was out there for quite a few jobs. And now we have Pitino versus Pitino twice a year. Like, I'll be seated. I'll certainly be seated. Sean Miller's a heck of a coach. Obviously, there's a reason that Arizona wanted him. There's a reason that Texas wants him now. There's a reason that Xavier welcomed him back for a second time. There's a reason that maybe Xavier will welcome him back a third time. I don't know. But they probably won't miss too much of a beat.
Okay.
And I'm saying this with no merit, okay? But like, especially if Richard Pitino brings
Donovan Dent.
Donovan Dent with him, yeah. Like if they bring Donovan Dent, then it's like, oh boy, like he would thrive in the Big East. He would have a ball in the Big East. So I don't know if that's what's happening, but if it did, it'd certainly be a heck of a get for Richard Pitino, and Richard Pitino was certainly a heck of a get for Xavier.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun in the Big East Big Boy Coaching League. John, as always, great work in Lexington and then Post, and there will be a lot more, as you know, it never ends. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Johnny.
Thanks, guys.
That's John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. They should say, Jay Wright, just come back, please. All right, just coach the games. You know what? We'll do all the other stuff. Just come back, please.
You can wear suits
Kevin
still.
Willard's situation's interesting because he went on a radio show yesterday, and I mean was pretty. At one point, he was like, "Yeah, like I'm coming back," but like he was kind of beating around the bush about it, and then he gave basically an endorsement for who he wants to be the athletic director for the Terrapins. It was on, I think.
I know how that goes.
It was on a radio, I think like W98 The Fan or whatever. It was a really good interview, but like it was a kind of awkward.
He's an awkward
They're
person.
giving it to me. They're not giving it. I like it here and it's nice and I want this to be great.
It's
And they're
leverage.
like, Kevin, say you're going to be here next year. And it was like, I'm happy.
Sweet 16 leverage. He's got all the cards right now. He's got no athletic director. He might have Villanova. Villanova's on the clock. Hey, by the way, Minnesota, Indiana, Iowa, on behalf of Nebraska basketball, thank you for hiring who you did. All right, Brandon Vogel from counterread.com going to join us here before. Why do you look at me like that?
You're thanking them for hiring 3 great coaches?
Mm-hmm.
Because they
provide
the
content.
Prestige of the Big Ten?
It forces you to be
better. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to get Big Ten got a lot tougher with those 3 guys
Force
around.
you to be better with the X's and O's.
Yeah. It just got tougher, though.
B. Vogue's going to join us before the hour's over on 1620 The Zone.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No.
No.
Do you know?
Want
No.
to.
Do you know where I know that? Do you know where I know this song? Do you know why I love this song so much? Do you want to guess what movie this song was in?
Gee, I don't know, Gary. We wouldn't know.
That I think of right away. It was such a good movie.
Godfather?
No.
Geely?
Daddy Daycare with Eddie Murphy. They had, it was like they couldn't find a good daycare.
Tia Carrere
and
was
so
a
then
smoke show.
Eddie Murphy had to make his own daycare essentially, and then all the kids were going crazy in the backyard, and Ballroom Blitz was playing. And I watched that movie all the time.
Frankie Sharp was based on John
up.
Madden. He traveled everywhere in his limo.
So I was Ballroom Blitz, Veggios. Did
you guys ever go to any night at the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
No. No.
It used to be a big deal. Yeah. And you would play, basically everything that was going on in the movie, you would be doing in the theater.
You can imagine why Rocky IV didn't take off.
Oh, they'd have all the props and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It became...
so like if Star Wars was going on, there'd be lightsaber battles?
Correct.
Well, no, there's just... But yeah.
But this is just that movie.
But just for this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Saving Private Ryan, they're not doing it for that. Not. I mean, there's a reason why they do it for this movie.
So we were, because of who Jimmy mentioned, we're the older group here, Wayne's World.
Yeah.
Wayne's World.
We could do 3 endings to the show.
I've been on a Will Ferrell, Harry Carey kick on SNL. I've been watching all the. I can't do it. John Bishop actually does a really good Harry Carey, but I'm not
reason for
that.
that.
I've been watching all of them. Like I literally found a video that's about 30 minutes long. It's all of Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey, and I haven't gotten past the 15-minute mark because I just keep restarting it because I just keep laughing my butt off.
You would have loved Harry and Steve.
Who would you rather have in the booth during a Cubs game, Will Ferrell or Bill Murray?
Will Ferrell.
Bill Murray. Do I get the Harry Carey, Bill Murray I was a kid?
I've heard Bill in the booth already a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I love him. He's great. Can I
submit Mongo from 25 years ago? Because that was one of my favorite nights watching the Cubs.
Mongo was. I never met Mongo, but
he wasn't wrong.
Heard so many great, so many funny and so many incredible Mongo stories. Thank God he got in the Hall of Fame, man. Thank goodness. Deserved it.
So there is, you like going down the YouTube rabbit hole with Bill Murray. So when Harry Carey was out of the booth, he had a little health concern. This was in the late
87,
80s, I think. 87. Bill Murray and Steve Stone did a game together. And Bill Murray just was unleashed doing the lineups. He was hollering out of the booth.
Before viral was a thing.
It was fantastic. And you also remember Bill Murray threw out a first pitch at Wrigley Field and tried to throw it into the press box.
I didn't know that. I had no clue.
Bill Murray, he was caught. So, his son, who was confronted by Mac at Madison Square Garden after the semifinal game.
His son's actually quite a damn good coach.
He works for, Danny Hurley.
He's like his right-hand man almost.
The game against Florida, so Bill is there supporting his son. They caught him like dancing or vibing or something like that. He became an instant meme.
And
then he's everywhere this week. Does he have a movie or something coming out? Because he's doing the car wash of morning shows.
I'm going to be honest with you. This has been the same song and dance for the last 12 years, I feel like, with Bill Murray, where he's nowhere. You can't find him. Okay? And then all of a sudden, for like 4 months, you're like, Bill!
Pops out at a golf course in Manhattan with his brother.
And then you see him everywhere, and then all of a sudden, then he's back into his, groundhog hole. Right? I thought you would like that, Jimmy. Groundhog Day.
I know. Trust me. Groundhog Day.
But he goes into his ditch, and then he pops back up again. You're like, oh my God, there's Bill in the 1914 club. He's having a great time. And they're like, oh, there's Bill in a basketball game. So he's back. Bill's back.
I went to a bar in Wrigleyville. I had a old style on the.
Hey,
Bill will be at Wrigley Field for the home opener. I guarantee you.
I used to work for Bill Murray, so.
Really? What?
Yeah.
He's not pulling.
So Bill Murray and Jimmy Buffett and Mike Veck all owned part of the Fort Myers Miracle.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I did not know that. That's awesome. Have you met him multiple and talked to him? Yeah.
I don't know if you were with us yet, but I've told the story. We did a Bill Murray bobblehead. And so Bill Murray came and hung out. Hey, I've seen Bill Murray in a corporate meeting in Newark, New Jersey.
Was it
in
scary?
A hotel ballroom at 7 a.m. And I was told by my general manager not to say anything because he came and sat next to me, and he looked like death warmed over. Like,
but are you saying he still showed up at work?
He looked nothing like what you see, but he
is that a ditch at me?
Yes.
Is that a diss at me?
Hey, my brief my brief interactions with him, he was always really nice. He's exactly the same person privately you see publicly. But we did a Bill Murray bobblehead, and so he came down. He was going to throw out the first pitch. He didn't want to sign autographs, but he'd hang out with the crowd, and he'd sing the 7th inning stretch. So he is in the batting cages because he walked by the bat. He wanted to throw. He wanted to make sure he could throw it to home plate, but he wanted to take some BP. So our manager at the time set him up, and they're like, "Hey, do you want somebody to throw you BP?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "I want to hit off the machine." So they were like, "Okay, Bill,
like
no
it's
problem."
Sluggers back in the day.
Guy was jacking around, and so they made Bill wear a batting helmet, and he's got his bat in there, and like every narp that is in a batting cage is like, hits the plate and gets into his stance. And they were jacking around with him, and they cranked the machine up to about 94.
Yeah.
Hit him in the head.
What? Wait, you hit him right in the head?
He got hit in the head, and he was livid. He was like, "I'm leaving. I'm never coming back here." Now, he never came back to Fort Myers, but he did go out and throw the first pitch, but he didn't stick around.
Oh, you left right after?
Yeah.
Wow, they blew it. Were they just trying to buzz the tower, or were they?
Well, they cranked it up to 94, but not with the intent. I mean, they had it where it was just going to throw straight, and somehow...
Some way it got aimed and
it went right to him.
Oh my God!
He didn't go down or anything, but
did you see it happen?
Yeah, I was standing there.
Is that? I feel like that's got to be a memory ingrained in your head for the rest of your life. Like you're never gonna forget.
We were
moment.
like, oh no, because he was. So he had.
Rightfully so.
He had his agent with him, and she was not happy.
Surprise!
That's tough.
Gotcha.
Was the first pitch at least good, or was he dazed and confused?
Yeah, he was great. He went out and did exactly what he said he was going to do. It was fine, but
had an arm like Randall Pink Floyd.
He was ready to go, and it was 2 players that had set up the machine. He thought they intentionally did it. That's whatever. Whatever.
Well,
whatever.
I bet when they came to apologize, he told them to shut up, like Dan Hurley told his son to shut up the other night.
Nobody really came anywhere near him. He just he shook it off and threw his helmet down and walked out of the batting cage. His agent calmed him down and he said, "Bill, it's time for the first pitch." He came in the dugout, shook hands with the umpire, waved at the other team, walked out to the mound, walked around the mound, walked out to second base, walked back to the mound, threw the first pitch, and then he was gone.
He said, Publix.
There was a lot of unused food and drink in his suite. But much to the happiness of the Miracle staff.
I was about to say,
absolutely.
That ended up in the stomach of Gary Sharp.
We never got a visit from Jimmy Buffett, but I got a signed check from Jimmy Buffett.
Did you cash it? You frame it?
Oh, I cashed it. Well, I needed money at the time.
Kind of have to, yeah.
Yeah, but Bill Murray and Mike Veck were together. It was the phrase was "fun is good," and we would have after the seasons were over. Before we got into spring training, we'd have these corporate meetings, and Mike Veck and Bill Murray together. That was gold.
Sure,
absolute gold. All right, so is Brandon Vogel, his speaking and his writing. He will join us next, and we will ask him if you can put the fat ball spinning Herbie in the middle of the floor at PBA. Can you put the football Herbie in the middle of Memorial Stadium?
Oh,
people lose their mind.
They would. No,
can you
it would not be fun.
Can you
and cutesy.
imagine that we would become the brunt of so many jokes?
It would not be a ha ha cutesy. It'd be like get that out of here right now. This is a joke. Blue Bloods don't do that.
And Michigan, you don't prey on Herbie. Brandon Vogel's coming up next. Oh, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Pearl Jam on a Wednesday. Let's go. And we go to Brandon Vogel from counterread.com. The most important question that we'll ask you all day, now that the excitement is carrying over with the new PBA floor, that the Fat Herbie is back. What would be the reaction if they decided to do the football Herbie, if there is one, in the middle of Memorial Stadium?
Thunderous, I think would be the first word that comes to
Good
mind.
way, Brandon? In a good way?
In a good way, yes, I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do. Yesterday, so I love the basketball court, first of all, and I'm a longtime chronicler and fan of Herbie Husker, and yesterday's move and the timing of it sort of made me realize that put a Herbie on it is kind of becoming the cure-all for Husker Nation at the moment. Trev Alberts enters at a kind of tumultuous time in Nebraska athletics. One of his first orders of business. Let's return Herbie to his agrarian roots. We're gonna pistol pedify him like Oklahoma State and make him represent all sports. And it's just great. Now it's like, oh, cool new hat because it has the golf Herbie on it. New basketball court, not just the state outline, which people are also very fond of. But now there's Herbie. So yeah, if Herbie comes to football more than he already has, like I think people will be pretty into it.
Is there you're a big analytical and historical writer and just in general, is there a correlation between more Herbie and winning? Is that something maybe we can get up on counterread.com? If the more Herbies you have in an area, the more winning that is done?
Yeah, could probably make that case pretty easily because I always called him the cell phone holster Herbie. The Herbie in a shirt and jeans instead of the overalls was just more of a modern farmer, which coincided kind of with the rise of cell phones. Well, that was a Steve Peterson invention, and we know where Nebraska has been since the 2004-ish range in terms of football, at least. And the original Herbie was, I think, from the 1974 Cotton Bowl, so that covered almost all of the Tom Osborne era, and we know how that went. So it's a landslide victory for overalls, a point I've continually made over the years.
Hey, it's not about yards, it's about points, ma'am. The line famously uttered by Bo Pelini in offense was discussed heavily yesterday. So last year, if you scored an average of 4 touchdowns per game, you were 69th in the country in scoring offense. Congratulations, Georgia Southern and Old Dominion. We know that the offense in the brief month and then the bowl game with Dana Holgorsen didn't necessarily put up points outside of the Wisconsin game, but now you know the players, you know the plays. What's the expectation, in your opinion, on March 26th for this offense with the guys they've added mixed in with the guys returning?
Yeah, I think so. They were at 23-ish last year, up from 18-ish the year before. They got to take a big jump in 2025. They need to be over 30, I think. If you want to win the number of games that this team is that feels like a realistic range for this team, and to do it in an 18-team Big Ten, I think that's where you need to be. And, last season was interesting with the true freshman quarterback, but then also the coordinator switch, because as you mentioned, Gary, like I think Nebraska's average over those 5 Holgorsen games was about exactly the same as it was for the season as a whole. So while Dylan Raiola, I thought his numbers showed a pretty big jump under Holgorsen calling the plays, it didn't translate to a lot of points, which can be a lot of different factors, red zone, third down, those sorts of things. So one way or another, like I think they need to be above that 30-point range, maybe even closer to 33, 34, 35. Because I think it's reasonable to expect the defense to take at least a slight step back in terms of points, and if you want to get to 9 wins, which is kind of the mark I'd set, where it's like You can't deny that. Like, that's a good season. You've got to be about 10 points per game better than your opponent.
So yesterday, actually, let's go back to the past, right? Let's go year one. Okay. Matt Rule, I mean, he kind of set some hard and fast rules with, we want to rush the ball 75 yards in the fourth quarter. Okay. And then you go to yesterday and he goes, we're going to be 50-50, right? We're going to pass the ball 50% of the time. We're going to run the ball 50% of the time. What is your opinion on kind of setting those hard and fast rules and setting those goals as a team? Because I understand that's kind of the consistent mindset they might want. At the same time, if the team is damn good at throwing the ball, you should throw the ball, right? And vice versa if you're damn good at running the ball. So what's your outlook on kind of him once again being like, no, this is what we're going to do?
Yeah, I think a lot of those feel like pretty familiar coaching points that we've heard from various people at Nebraska and elsewhere over the years. Like, most coaches are going to get up there and say, we want to be multiple. We want to be as close to 50-50 as we can. Fine, great. You're always like, and most teams end up there, somewhere between 55-45 or 45-55 the other way. The 75 yards thing in the fourth quarter, that seems less like a mission statement and more like a reflection of how good you are. Teams run the ball later. If you've got the if you've got the lead or you are in control of the game, you can, 75 yards in the fourth quarter is a good number to hit. Like, I'm sure if we look that up over however many multiple years of, like, if a team rushes for 75 yards in the fourth quarter, how often do they win? It would be high. And it would be high because most of those teams were probably already winning. So in terms of putting it out there as like, hey, here's what we're about, here's where we're trying to get to, I think it makes a ton of sense in terms of, numbers that you can kind of impact based on the number themselves. Like, I'm not sure it's that much. I mean, if you're down 14 going into the fourth quarter, rushing for 75 yards isn't going to be in the cards a whole lot.
Hey, so Emmett Johnson yesterday in talking, and you look at his season, and his season definitely had a different element to it once Dana took over the offense, but 598 yards rushing, 296 yards receiving, and we think that he will catch even more balls out of the backfield or that position in a hole. So if you look at how Holgorsen wants to use that position, the guys that are here, by the way, my cockle got warm to hear that Parker's up to 190. Hello. We've always talked about, man, Nebraska's got to get the bell count because we're ingrained in the type of running back that Nebraska has that they carry 20 to 25 times a game. But now we might be, hey, can they max out their 20 touches, whether they're running it or catching it? Do you think we should retire the definition of a bell cow running back at Nebraska?
I think so. I think the game has mostly shifted away from that. Now, we saw two like real counter examples to that last year, Ashton Jeanty and Cam Scatteraboo. But they stood out because we don't see those type of backs that often. You see a couple a year. So particularly in an offense like this, and I think with the room that Nebraska has returning at running back, I don't find it all that applicable. Like, I think what they want to have, and this might be as much about the O-line as it is running back talent, is they want to be able to just put people in there and you don't notice the difference. And it's been a long time, I think, since Nebraska's had that. Even some very good Nebraska teams, like, you noticed Amir Abdullah as like, oh, he's the guy. And he can do things that other people can't, which is great if you have it. I don't know. I wouldn't put any of Nebraska's current running backs in that category, certainly. So I think being able to just get guys in and have 2 to 3, I think, guys be almost equally capable and efficient is really the key. Emmett Johnson has flashed some stuff in my mind that tell me he might be on the high end of that, and certainly the leader going into it. But yeah, I don't think having a guy you can just hand the ball off to 25 times a game and be like, that's a third of our game plan is where Nebraska's at. But I also don't know how often it's the case that that's where college football's at.
point?
Dylan's had a full season under him, but you still have to kind of consider him a younger quarterback, right? True sophomore. And there's still a lot of things that he's got to figure out. What do you think, what position group is more important in terms of taking a jump and being there to support him this offseason? The wide receiver room or the tight end room?
I think the wide receiver room, with Heinrich Harburg in the mix, that's a big wild card. It's going to be interesting to watch this spring to see like how much we hear about him as a tight end. Like we know they're going to try him there, but like is he your top line tight end? Could be. I mean, based on his athleticism, and if he gives you something there that's kind of hard to put down on paper at this stage, I think that's a big bonus. But to that point, I think you can kind of more reasonably count on the additions they made at wide receiver, year 2 Raiola, and go with that battery as kind of the most important part. I mean, I think I'm writing about this for tomorrow, actually. Like, I think it's been kind of surprisingly buzz-free for Raiola going into year 2 as a quarterback. So some interesting angles to that, I think, when you kind of consider why. At least that's been my impression.
Hey, do you think we fully grasp? And I would pay money to watch ISOs of Nebraska's wide receivers against Nebraska's DBs all spring long. But do you think we fully grasp that when spring ball is over and you have a couple of months to get to 105, how many really good defensive backs are not going to be on this roster?
Probably not, because a lot of them, Nebraska's pretty veteran there with 40 plus starts returning. So we're used to some guys. Sierra Wright certainly got familiar with him then. So this room has been young for 2 years straight, and a lot of guys, hopefully up and coming if you're Nebraska, but they're just not well-known names yet. And I think you will see, because as one of the biggest groups on the team, when it comes to time to cut down the roster, it's just inevitable that I think you're going to have a pretty heavy dose of DBs. And I'm guessing you'll see them go places, some to other Power 5 schools, some to probably some good G5 schools, and have some really good success. And we'll be a season or two down the road and be like, it would have been nice to have that guy. Just the realities of where college football is at recently.
Yesterday, just quick before we let you go here, Matt Rule, head coach, Nebraska Athletic Department, said just kind of point blank, I kind of uncertain what NIL and what that's going to bring from a macro level. Like, is this just going to be one of those things where July 1st is going to come and that's when we're going to know whether or not these things are going through? Is that kind of our reality at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Which, I don't know what that means for the fall, but what a strange time. And I think you could see it and hear it in Rule's answer to that. He's like, I just want to know what the rules are, effectively. It's an odd time in the history of this sport.
Yes, it is. All right, what do we have coming up on Counter Read now that we're into fall football and before the Crown begins on Monday?
Yes, before the Crown begins. Still intrigued by that slightly. Like I said, kind of digging into Dylan Raiola, and I think what his 2024 was, and comparing it to some other things, because I listen to a lot of national shows, and they're like, yeah, Dylan Raiola, it was okay, which I think is fair, but we've been here with some other quarterbacks in Nebraska's recently passed, and there were certainly some differences in terms of buzz going into year 2.
Hey, fantastic stuff, my friend. As always, appreciate the time and have a good rest of the week.
Thank you, Brandon.
You too, guys. Thanks.
That's Brandon Vogel from Counter Read. 24/7. That's all I'm asking. Dylan, 24/7. That's not get in the weight room, get the body under control, all that kind of stuff. I'm saying 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions or less, and you're cooking with peanut oil. That's all I'm asking for.
You're cooking
if that
with
happens,
canola oil.
that is the standard. That's all I'm saying.
Standard of really, really good quarterbacks. And we talk about 28 points a game and them needing to be 32, 33. They get there with that.
All right. Tomorrow's opening day. Prepare yourself accordingly.
I'm just shaking. I'm so excited.
Good day, Jimmy, on the 1s and 2s.
Yeah, we had fun. That was fun. What did you say? Fun is good?
Fun is good.
Fun is good.
That's the Gold Clang group.
Fun is good.
Crossover is coming up next. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 6.